Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Aso Tarot, and in today's pick a card reading, we are going to be asking the simple but very in-depth question, who are you really? Or at least who are you right now at the time that this video is finding you? So today we are going to be looking at your surface level personality, and then we're going to go deeper and see kind of who you are internally and what's going on the inside. And then finally we will finish off by looking at your soul and seeing your soul in its purest form. Now, I've already done this reading and it's been incredibly fascinating. You can barely call this video a tarot reading, if I'm being honest. Like, each pile has 3 tarot cards and it's mostly a fiesta of oracles, but I genuinely enjoyed it and I hope that you guys enjoy it too. So we have 4 piles to choose from today. Starting with pile 1, we have this Mangano Calcite heart, and then for pile 2, we have this Aqua Quartz, and then for pile 3, we have this Yooperlite third eye stone, and then finally for pile 4 we have this aura coated clear quartz moon. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to decide which pile you feel most drawn to. It's absolutely okay to be drawn to more than one, especially in a video like this. You may find that different piles hit on certain aspects of your personality, or different piles resonate at different levels for you. We are multi-dimensional people with tons of different aspects to our personality, so I'm sure I don't touch on every single one of them in the piles, but I very much did my best. If you did not pick up on your energy in any of these 4 piles, it is quite possible that I just did pick up on your energy, or it's possible that you could have been in the long lost pile 5 that was never meant to surface because my camera malfunctioned and I did the whole dang reading and got none of it, and then I realized that I wouldn't have the storage anyway, and I think Spirit was saying, buddy, it just wasn't meant to happen. So hopefully this reading still resonates, and I really hope that you guys enjoy it and you get something from it. So yeah, once you have picked your pile, you can go ahead and scroll down to the description box or the comment section where I will have all the timestamps down below. And then once you have picked your pile, we will go ahead and get into your reading. Hi there, pile 1. If you guys chose the Mangano Calcite heart, this is going to be your reading on who are you? Who are you? Let's see. Who are you? So we're going to start with your surface level personality and go deeper. So to start, we have the heart. We have inner child. Oh, this is already so sweet. Oh my gosh. Okay. We also have caring connections. We have great and full. We have the divine child, and we have nature. I'm gonna pop. Okay, community's coming through. Pop. Okay, we also have the moon. We have the fire ant. We have flirt, and we have sophistication. And finally, we have 2 ego cards, and the first one says, I forgive myself for attaching meaning to the experience of aloneness. I choose to believe that it is through accepting solitude and connecting with myself in my own silence that I'm able to meet and integrate aspects of my being I have long been resistant to. And finally, we have, I forgive myself for judging the experience of emotions I would rather not be mine. I choose to believe that when I honor each and every one of my emotional expressions, I discover a deeper wisdom not accessible through reason alone. So I do want to say just right off the bat, pile 1, I can tell you're extraordinarily hard on yourself, but what people see from you and what you project is actually a lot kinder than you think. Just starting off with the heart and the inner child. The inner child is representative of the heart chakra. So I think people naturally see you as somebody very loving, very compassionate. And also you have this like childlike whimsy to you, no matter how old you are. It's like maybe you're the type of person that still watches cartoons, same. Or you're the type of person who has a soft spot for certain things from your childhood, like maybe you're nostalgic for certain things from that. One thing that I'm seeing here is that you are somebody who cares a lot about creatures that cannot protect themselves, people that cannot protect themselves. You're always, I would say, like, rooting for the underdog, or like looking out for the underdog, protecting the underdog, things of that nature. In terms of your physicality, we'll get there, but first, some of y'all could have a baby face. That's one thing I'm seeing with all of these. It is quite possible that maybe you get, you often get confused as like younger, or maybe you get carded a lot, for example. And you could also be like a Cancer or Pisces rising. I saw Cancer more because Cancer risings have like that kind of moon shaped face. It's so cute. I also think that people see you as like very naturally beautiful, handsome, whatever you want to say. I think that they see you as somebody that doesn't need to put a lot of effort into their appearance to look good. So if you do put a lot of effort into your appearance, just know that you make it look effortless. So that's pretty impressive. I do think at times, though, your own naivete, however you say that, may get you into a bit of trouble. I think that you definitely are the type of person to always want to see the best in people. You're the type of person who treats others the way you would want to be treated. And I think sometimes you struggle because I think that you do have such a compassionate heart. I think that when you see other people acting or saying or doing heartless things, it might set you off. So with this Fire Ant card, you could actually have a fire rising as well. Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. Once again, certainly don't have to, but you could have those placements. What I'm seeing here with the Fire Ant is that you are a bit sensitive, no offense, and it may not take much to get an emotional reaction out of you. But that honestly makes a lot of sense for this childlike energy. You could be super mature and still have childlike energy. It's just that I think that you are especially sensitive to certain topics. Like, I think you keep your cool the majority of the time, but there may be certain topics that you feel extraordinarily passionate about that if somebody says the wrong thing or disses that, you're gonna come out and tell them like it is. Like, you're gonna tell people how you feel, and I don't think you do that very often. So it takes a lot for you to get there. I can kind of see from the moon here that you are at times hard to read. You could be passive aggressive at times, or just be the type of person who is very internal when it comes to processing how you feel. So I do think at times people have a hard time knowing how you truly feel. You may also have a really special connection to animals. People may notice that animals seem drawn to you, or you know how to connect with children and like just really sweet creatures. It's almost like it's just one and the same. It honestly kind of seems like just recognition on that level. But I think people have a lot of fun with you. And I think that there's likely a lot of people who don't realize what's underneath your surface, which, like, no duh, like that's kind of everyone. But I definitely think that you do an excellent job of pretending like everything's fine and going with the status quo, even if you're struggling or going through a hard time. Because I think this Fire Ant is kind of reserved. Like, your fiery side, the things that make you upset or like really just set you off, I think it's a couple of very specific things that doesn't happen that often, but when it does, like, whew, watch out. But I also think you're the type of person, like, you know how sometimes you can get like your pants loop stuck on like a door handle or something? Like, if you like stub your toe or do something like that, like, you'll cuss at the thing. You'll be like, ah, fuck you, like, at the door handle or the thing you stubbed your toe on, which is like kind of low-key funny and cute. So that's not too bad. But I definitely think like if you like accidentally hurt yourself or something, like you could be a bit of a potty mouth. But I also think that people see you as somebody really connected to the divine in general. It seems like you're pretty intuitive with the moon here, and it almost seems like you can kind of read people very easily. And I think it's heart-based. Like I think you can read people based upon I think you read soul energy. So I think that you are very like childlike and you're able to see the childlike qualities within others. I do think what you struggle to see are maybe the more negative qualities of people. I think because you do have such a big heart, it is very easy to see all of the wonderful aspects about people. But I think that you have a hard time maybe seeing people's red flags or seeing people's downsides or seeing the shady parts of people. One thing that I also note is that people might think you're kind of bougie, or they think that you talk in a very eloquent way. Especially, I think some people might be caught off guard, especially if they think that you're like in high school, but you're actually like in your mid-20s. Hello, me. That happens to me all the time. So you're not alone. But it's quite possible that people are surprised by your ability to communicate or just kind of the way you come across or the way you carry yourself. You do seem to be the type of person to take the high road publicly. You may like talk some shit behind somebody's back if they did something messed up, or say how you really feel to your close friends, but I think you keep it classy for the public. And I also think that you have an ability to keep people in the dark about how you truly feel if you want to. But typically, like I'd say for the most part, you are just very gregarious. You're very willing to express yourself, express your emotions, whether positive or negative. I think the only time you don't express your emotions are when you don't feel safe around somebody. So I would say like the majority of people in your life and around you see you as just a wonderful person, like inside and out. I forgot I was going to mention with the great and full, you could be curvy or just have like a little bit of a, a booty. Of course you don't have to, but I do think that you could have like fuller cheeks or just fuller in other places. I really think that people see you as somebody who is very generous, and it always seems like when you're around others, it always seems like you have a full cup. Even if you don't, you still express that energy, and it may actually hurt you sometimes because people may often just always assume that you're fine, when in fact you may be struggling or going through a difficult time, but maybe you have a difficult time communicating that. But that doesn't mean that not everybody does that, because one thing that I think people can see is that you have people in your life that love you very much. If you have a significant other, I think one thing that people note, I think that they think you guys are really cute together. I think they see you both as, and I just heard iconic couple, so that could be something. But if you don't, I would just say that people could see you as somebody with many admirers, especially with this flirt card here. They could see you as somebody who's a little bit hard to pin down. I don't mean literally, but I mean, it may be hard to get your attention, or people may feel like there's a lot of competition for your attention. And I think that people just note that there's a lot of people in your life that love you. So like people that don't really know you, I think one thing that they notice about you is that you seem to have a lot of people kind of in your corner and in your ring. I do think that one thing you struggle with is either being alone or not attaching meaning to being alone. Like sometimes you may worry that like if you're by yourself, you may be the type of person where when you're left alone by yourself, maybe you start ruminating about, I just heard why you're trash. You shouldn't think that about yourself. You're not trash. You're really, really wonderful. But it may be very easy for you to feel like if there's nobody pining for your attention, or there's nobody spending time with you, or there's nobody hitting you up or something like that, that maybe nobody cares about you anymore. You might have these, you know, kind of silly fears that everybody's angry at you, or people are magically like pissed off at you or something. But I don't think that's the case. I think you may just feel more comfortable around, you could just be an extrovert in general. And extrovert, I do want to say, extrovert and introvert don't mean social and not social. Extrovert means that you get energy from being around others. Introvert means that you get energy from being away from others. So like I, for example, would be an introvert because I need time to like decompress. So you could be either, but I do think that maybe if you're introverted, you still like to have, you know, your close people around. Like I just heard roommate. So for some of you, you could have a really close roommate, or you could live with a sibling or multiple siblings, or you could just have certain people, or you could live with, obviously you could live with your family, like that's one. I think maybe, especially if you're like a parent or something, like if you're all alone, you may have these like times where you're like, well, what do I do now? Or how do I sit with myself now? You could also be a night owl with the moon card here. You could feel more drawn to the moon, or just more comfortable at night. You definitely have a more feminine energy to you on the surface. That doesn't mean that you have to be, but like I think that the way you express yourself, your energy is pretty feminine. But with this flirt card here, I think that one thing that I noticed is that I think that you may just be genuinely really nice to people, and they may mistake that for flirting. So that may be something that you struggle with a little bit. But I also think that another thing that you have a hard time with is dealing with your emotions at times. I think that maybe you feel a lot of like guilt and shame for emotional outbursts that you have, especially if you've had emotional outbursts on people that you really care about. But I think one thing that Spirit is trying to get you to see is that these emotions shouldn't be shunned. In fact, I think it's because you shun these emotions that they come out in very like explosive ways. I think actually if you embrace these emotions as just another part of you, and allowed them to pass through you, it would be less daunting to experience those types of emotions. But with this ego card, I definitely think that when you are faced with uncomfortable emotions, you may fall back on certain substances or vices like food or something like that to kind of mask those feelings. And so I think that's one thing that Spirit is pointing out, that maybe is holding you back from expressing your emotions in a healthier way. You could really love just being outside. One thing that I'm seeing is, you know, with all the green and the nature, you could feel at home in nature. You could be really interested in like environmental protection or something like that. Certainly don't have to be. But I think overall, the biggest thing that people see about you is that you have a really, really, really big heart. And even on the surface, people can see that. And I think that's really beautiful. And I love that you picked the heart. So I think you found the right pile if you're still listening. But I think as well, if you feel really drawn to someone, you have the gift of the gab. It is kind of interesting. You don't always have it, if I'm going to be honest. Like sometimes you really stumble over your words, but other times it's like you are just so smooth with your words. It's like, oh my God, Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson, smooth, like super smooth. And I think one thing as well is you may feel like you need others to protect you, or have others like on your side, or have others validating you or supporting you for you to feel worthy. So I think that's one thing that people are noting, that like maybe you don't feel confident enough to be to stand on your own 2 feet, in the sense of like if people didn't agree with you, or if people weren't validating you or something like that, fuck, I forgot the point of what I was saying. Oh, okay. The point is I just think that maybe at times you may feel like you need somebody else to protect, defend, or validate you. And I think other people kind of see that's not necessarily like something that you need. You're actually a lot stronger than you let on. I think it's more so just a comfort thing. Like, it's like you could defend yourself if you want to, and I'm sure you have many times, but I think it always feels safer, it always feels easier to either have somebody standing in your corner while you do that, or have somebody to stand up for you, because you may feel too uncomfortable to speak your truth or to be honest with people. So if that resonates at the surface level, let's go ahead and see what's going on inside. So I'm just gonna get these out of the way. Go a bit deeper now. So to start, we have the 8th house, endings and beginnings. We have the shaman. We have take a break, a life's work, not a season, get off the treadmill. We also have yin yang. We have vampire. There's one more. And we have speak truth. We have dragon. We have the empress. We also have the tranquil turtle, endurance, commitment, serenity, spirit of the great mother goddess, strengthen my connection to the earth. We also have renewal. We have codependency. This is a relationship addiction. You are relying too heavily on the other person for your sense of self-worth. Give yourself more self-love. And addictions. Think about the emotions you're trying to cover up. Deal with those emotions, process, heal, and release them. So one thing I need to say right off the bat, pile 1, is that I'm so proud of you. Like, actually, I'm genuinely very proud of you, because I think that you have been doing a lot of inner work on yourself, and I don't think it's come easy. Especially if you struggle to reach out for help, but you've been trying to help yourself, or you have been getting professional help. One thing that Spirit wants you to know is that, like, it is helping you a lot, and they're very proud of the work that you're putting in to be your best self and to transform who you are. I think you have definitely been changing for the better, especially in the recent past. One thing that I will say, this is obviously not going to resonate for everyone, but part of, like, you know, the 8th house and the Empress being here, some of you could be parents, some of you could currently be pregnant. I would hope that you would know that if I'm saying that. That's one thing that you're only going to take if it resonates. Or you could just be a naturally just very nurturing, caring person. With the Empress card here, I feel like you've been working really, really, really hard on your self-worth. You could be a Scorpio moon or just have Scorpio placements in your chart. One thing that I'm seeing is that you're definitely not the same person that you once were. And even though there are parts of yourself I think that you wish you could change or completely get rid of, I think Spirit is saying that you greatly discount how much progress you've made on yourself. And I think that this is so important because, like, none of us are perfect, and we all make mistakes, and we all, you know, act in ways that we're not proud of. And I think one thing that you've been really working on is figuring out what within you causes you to act in ways that you're not proud of, and what within you holds you back from believing in yourself and believing in your truest self. And I think that you've actually kind of come out of, you've kind of finished a cycle recently, because I'm kind of blown away by how similar this Empress and Renewal cards are. And I feel like you almost don't even need to work that hard on yourself, because through your life experiences, I'm hearing Naturally by Selena Gomez right now, but it literally, like, it's kind of like you're naturally growing and evolving as you experience certain parts of life. But with the shaman card being here, I think that you do have a special connection to spirit, to spirituality, in whatever way you connect to it. But I also think that you're recognizing that there's so many layers to you. And in fact, you're still learning yourself, you're still studying yourself, and you're changing and growing all the time. And I think what's beautiful is no matter what your gender identity is, I think when it comes to your feminine energy, you're learning how to embrace it and hone it in its full power. I mean, between the Empress and Renewal, I think that you are very, very creative. I think that you you also go through cycles where you feel on, like, you cycle through certain emotions, certain energies, things of that nature. But what's left through all those cycles is somebody who is evolving, somebody who is nurturing, somebody who is caring, somebody who is creative, somebody who is resourceful, somebody who is kind, like truly actually kind. And one thing that I love is that you are such a hard worker. First of all, this life's a life's work, not a season, get off the treadmill. I think one thing that maybe you're starting to realize is that you deserve to rest and that you need to. But I also think that maybe you're extra hard on yourself about your appearance, or about, you know, just your size. And I think one thing that Spirit has been hopefully trying to help you with is recognizing that, like, you are a beautiful, worthy human, no matter like what your size is, and that you don't deserve to like be so hard on yourself and push yourself to such an insane degree just to try and meet some kind of unrealistic standard that is so unfair for you to be striving for in the first place. With the Dragon card being here, this is solar plexus energy. And so I think that you've been working a lot on healing your solar plexus chakra, which has in turn made you a lot more confident in yourself. And I think you're also realizing that you're more intelligent than you think you are. In fact, I think that you're a force to be reckoned with when you're debating close friends or family. I don't think you feel comfortable enough to debate people that you don't know. But I think you're getting there. And one thing that I'm also really proud of you for with this Speak Truth card is that you're learning how to finally speak up and be honest. I think one thing that you've really struggled with in your life is, you know, people pleasing and saying things to keep the peace and not being honest with people because you've been afraid of their reaction, or not being honest with people because you're afraid that they would leave you. And I think you're realizing now that the people worth being in your life are going to stay there despite your honesty, and the people that were never meant to be there are going to leave when you are honest. And I think you're realizing that, like, people leaving doesn't mean that life is over. In fact, it means that it's time for a start. It's time to be renewed. And I think that you've been doing a lot of reflecting about these past cycles that you've been in, and I think you're working really hard just to improve yourself. And like, I can't say enough like how freaking proud I am of you. And with this Vampire card, the light attribute talks about making you aware that someone or something is draining your life force, and the shadow attributes talk about depleting others for your psychic survival, chronic complaining, and codependency. So I think one thing that you're realizing is that maybe your codependent behaviors could weigh on other people, or they could drain other people. But I think that you also experience this as well. And I think one thing you're learning is to you're figuring out how to parent yourself, more specifically how to mother yourself. You're learning how to be that nurturing figure for yourself and how to regulate yourself. And one thing that I'm hearing specifically for some of you, if you either didn't have a mother figure in your life or didn't have a positive mother figure in your life, I think one big part of your growth now is you're reflecting on everything that happened to you in your childhood and the way that they treated you. And I think now you're almost kind of committed to not being that, to being better, and to being everything to your children or the people, just the people around you, that you're mother or your parents weren't for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be your mother, but there's just a lot of feminine female energy with the Empress and renewal. I also think one thing that I need to say as well is there could be fears about, like, you could really care about your hair or be afraid of like losing your hair or something like that. And I think one thing that Spirit wants you to know is that like hair is just a thing on your body. Obviously humans place dumbass like beauty standards, but like your soul is so beautiful. We haven't even gotten to your soul and I already know it's very beautiful. So if that is a fear of yours, I feel like Spirit just wants you to know that like it's like you're allowed to be afraid of anything, but they want you to know that like you are so grand and magnificent, and something as small as like your hair is not going to change the beauty of who you are, the magnitude of who you are. Like, you're awesome. And with this yin card, once again, it's like this feminine energy is coming through. I think you do have a really good balance of feminine and masculine energy, but I do think that you are predominantly more feminine in nature. And what I love is that people really can rely on you. They feel like they can trust you. They can trust you now to be like honest with them about how you truly feel. For some, if you have a romantic partner, I actually think that this is something that they find incredibly attractive about you now. Like they might be really into you being so honest with them, and they may want you to do that even more. I also think that there are parts of you that you are really working on healing, and I think a lot of it has to do with like jealousy or envy. Because with the 8th house here, Scorpio energy can be a little volatile. And I think at times maybe you struggle to see your own beauty and your own worth, and you may be comparing yourself to other people. And I think you're realizing that comparison is like the thief of joy, and that you don't deserve to feel that way, and that you're so amazing just the way you are. And I think you're realizing now too that there are or were people in your life that were vampires to you. And I think you're realizing now like that you never needed them, or that or you may just be realizing that they suck. Haha, literally, like vampire. But I also think that you're committed to giving rather than to taking. And I think that that is a really beautiful energy to be in. And I think one thing that you're realizing now is that the amount that you can give has a limit, but takers can keep on taking as much as they want. And so I think you're learning that you need to set better boundaries and to really protect yourself. Archangel Michael could be a special archangel for you. With this sword and the wings, it just kind of made me think of him. So you could have a connection to him, but you don't have to. Feel free to have a connection with him anytime. He is awesome. we stan Archangel Michael here on this channel. But I also think that you are embracing your own divine femininity. And everybody has divine masculinity and divine femininity within them. And I think that in this stage of your life, you're learning how to embrace your divine femininity. I think you are learning, I think you're also seeing connections between your own body and like Mother Earth. With this here, Spirit of the Great Mother Goddess, strengthen my connection to the earth. I feel like you are understanding more about life cycles, especially if you had a child recently or something like that. Just seeing the process of birth, or maybe you've lost people recently and like that process of death. Like it's really just brought everything. Like I think it's helped you zoom out, if that makes sense. It's like helped you realize that life is cyclical. The only constant in life is that it's changing, and that everything is cyclical, like everything. And I think that you're recognizing now that there have already been so many versions of you, and there are so many versions of you that you have yet to meet. And I think you're finally learning how to be kinder to yourself. You're learning how to embrace the fact that you're never going to be fully what you want to be in your mind, or you're never fully going to be like this image of perfection, or you're never fully going to be what others want of you. But at the very least, you're being yourself, and you're learning how to be kinder to yourself, to be more patient with yourself. Well, we could have Scorpio Venus as well. But I think that you are also learning how to cut through the bullshit of your own brain. So with Speak Truth, I think you're learning how to keep your more negative thoughts in check, because negative thoughts aren't necessarily truthful, the same way any thoughts aren't necessarily truthful. But I think that especially with negativity, I think you're learning how to get rid of that, and how to be more positive towards yourself, to have more affirmations towards yourself. This is a really beautiful energy to be in, and I think that while you're definitely still a work in progress, as we all are, you are doing amazing, sweetie, and you are progressing a lot more than you think you have. And I would challenge you to just reflect on how far you've come, and give yourself a pat on the back for just how far you've come, because like, you would not be where you are right now if you had not put in the work on yourself to get there. And so I think that, you know, you can say, oh, it was nothing, or, oh, you know, it's whatever. But no, it's actually really something that you should genuinely be proud of. And you're still transforming, and you're still evolving into who you're meant to be. But who you are right now is pretty fucking awesome. So you should definitely, I don't know, treat yourself or something. You definitely deserve it. So let's go ahead and look at your soul now, because I'm really excited to see what the Spirit is going to say about your soul. One thing I really like about doing so many oracle cards is, like, you know, with tarot, you can just fall into these like deep holes of connections, and I feel like with oracle cards they're a bit more literal, and it's kind of nice sometimes for a chatty gal like myself. So let's see what your soul looks like. So to start, we have prosperity. The frequency of prosperity supports our well-being by allowing the inclusion of everything that makes our body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit sing. It invites us to express ourselves in joy and celebration of the abundance and riches that the universe provides. So singing could also be very important to you. And one thing I want to say is, like, even if you're not a good singer, you should still let yourself sing, because I think it's something that helps lift your mood and also helps you express yourself. We also have the Sword. We have forgiveness. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. We have Star Brothers, Horus energy, protection, loyalty, safety, trust. We have Hedonist, inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life, celebrates the beauty in yourself. The shadow attribute is pursues pleasure to the detriment of health, indulges at the expense of others. And we have Envy. We also have number 36, I am safe. So there's two 36s, so you could be 36, or 36 reduces to 9. So 36 reduces to 9 in numerology. Don't come for me about regular math. Like I said, we don't do regular math on this channel. Fuck regular math. Or you could be born in 1963 for some of you. I could also see you being born like March 6th or June 3rd. But that 36, you certainly don't have to be. We also have the Unicorn. We have Temperance. We have number 1. You are a self-starter with very innovative ways of creating opportunity. Your determination and endurance are powerful and will get you through rough times and reach success. What? Oh no, what's on my... Oh, it's a sticker. I was like, fuck, is my card ruined? And finally, we have Release. So the first thing that came to me that I feel called to say is you have a lot of male spiritual energy around you protecting you. And also, I would say that, like, right now, if you identify as female, but you feel more masculine, or you feel more like called to masculine energy, I think it's more likely that you have incarnated as a male more often than as a female. But like, sure you've incarnated in many different places where like male and female doesn't even exist, but that's just kind of what I'm hearing. But actually there was a more important message that I was hearing and I got sidetracked. If anyone had like a brother that passed away recently, I think that, or not even recently, in the past, that you miss very greatly, I think that they are protecting you, and they are looking out for your best interests. They love you very, very much, and they want you to know that they'll be right there to greet you when it's your time to. I mean, I don't mean to freak you out, but like, cyclical part of life, am I right? But I think what's really interesting here with this sword, because we did have speak truth, your soul is actually very, what's the best way to put this? Your soul is very, I can't find the right word. Precise. Not precise. I mean, yes, precise, but like precision, I think would be a better word. You're very good at seeing right through people, cutting through bullshit. And with the sword here, I think that your soul has a need to find the truth and a need to explore things for yourself. I also think that your soul knows how to enjoy the finer things. So if that's something that you've been struggling with, I think that that is something that was probably ingrained within you growing up. So like, for example, if you grew up in poverty, or you grew up just like believing that you weren't deserving of good things or something like that, you may want to treat yourself, but you may have a really hard time doing that, especially now if you're like a parent and things like that and you're always thinking of other people. It may be really difficult for you to fucking treat yourself, which you deserve to. I also, like, I think one thing that your soul loves, wherever it incarnates, of course, if you believe in reincarnation and things like that, I do, so I talk about it, but I think that you do love to incarnate in places where you can experience, you know, all the pleasures, all the senses. I do think that your soul does enjoy incarnating in the physical world, because you get to enjoy things like food and you know, like sensual pleasures. I think that one love language of yours could be touch, physical touch, or gifts. Obviously that doesn't mean grand gifts, but like, I mean, it could, but also it could just be like small gifts, like when people are thinking of you or something like that. I think one thing that makes a lot of sense, because we have I am safe, and we have all this star brother energy, Horus energy. So you could be connected to the deity, the Egyptian deity Horus. You could have had multiple or many past lives in Egypt. I also was seeing as well with this 36, maybe you've had exactly 36 lifetimes or something like that. I mean, I don't know, but I just heard 3600. I'm like, damn, spirit. So maybe some of you are some really old souls. But I think your soul's goal, the goal of your soul is learning and understanding duality, learning and understanding, at least in this lifetime, the difference between oneness and separation, which one, you know, I am innovative. I think that you're a self-starter. Oh, that's on the card. Duh, Madison, keep going. But I think your soul is programmed and knows how to be prosperous for you and to bring abundance in whatever way, shape, or form you need. I also think that your soul knows exactly how to be successful, and the more you tap into it, the easier it will be for you to manifest what it is that you want. I do think maybe one thing you struggle with is using things in excess, especially with release. I think you're learning how to let go of things. One thing that I am seeing is that you may struggle, you may be incredibly sentimental. So at times you may struggle to like let go of things from your past or things from your childhood. And maybe that's why a lot of people see you as like that inner child energy. You know, maybe you've got things around your house like from your childhood, or that you just refuse to get rid of because they're very sentimental to you, and while to someone else they would be worthless, they're like treasures to you. With this envy card here, I do think that this is something that your soul is learning how to let go of, but I also think your soul is learning how to deal with envy from others, because I think you are a very bright light, and I think one thing that you are learning how to tolerate is the fact that some people may treat you poorly solely because they're jealous of you, or because they want what you have. And one thing that I'm seeing here with this unicorn card is that you are very psychically gifted. In fact, I think that you are either born with an open third eye, or I think that you've developed your gifts very naturally if you are working on them. If not, if you've never explored that before, I would challenge you to explore your own psychic gifts and abilities, because I think that you have them in spades. And I also think that you are, which is really interesting, because if you have a lot of Scorpio placements, it's likely you're not the most forgiving person in the world. You may hold some pretty deep and intense grudges. Of course, you don't have to, but I think that your soul knows how to forgive. I think your soul wants to forgive, and I think the hardest person to forgive is yourself, if I'm being honest. I think that one thing that you are learning is how to forgive yourself, especially if you ever put yourself in a situation where you weren't safe. I would say if that was the case, you didn't know any better and you were doing the best you can with the knowledge you had. But one thing that I think that Spirit wants to talk about is, I think that if you do still look to others for comfort and safety, one thing that you need to know is that your soul knows how to keep you safe, and your soul knows how to protect yourself. So one thing that I'm seeing here is I think you get really strong, intense gut reactions about people that are bad vibes. The best way I can say it is like bad vibe people, unsafe people, people that do not have good intentions. I think that your guides are especially communicative to you when you are in situations like this. I actually think that this has saved you from some pretty gruesome experiences. And I don't say that to freak you out. I say that to say that you should once again, give yourself a pat on the back, because I think that you have been in some pretty sticky or seedy situations before, and you've still managed to protect yourself and managed to avoid a much scarier outcome. Let's just say that. I think one of the hard things is that you do have a very bright light. Oh my God, I feel like crying. I hope you're okay. I hope that didn't make you cry. It's scary. I get it. It's scary. It's very surreal. It's like, holy shit. Like, yeah, it's very surreal. But I think one thing that you're realizing is that the universe never abandoned you, and that in fact it's always been there. Maybe you turned your back on it for a while, or was very angry at it for a while. But I think that you've needed to have these darker experiences so that you could truly appreciate life's good experiences, the finer things in life. And if anything, one thing that's really fucking cool about your soul, I'm sorry I'm saying fuck. I'm not sorry I'm saying fuck so much. I love saying fuck. I'm sorry if you don't like it. I'm actually not really sorry, but you know, there's other readers that don't swear. So, you know, if you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. But with this, I am innovative. Like, it doesn't matter where or what time period you incarnate in, your soul is so fucking resourceful that like you just come up with brilliant things. I would not be surprised if you were like an inventor in a past life or something like that, because I think that like you could be like your soul could be responsible for some pretty kick-ass inventions, and some of them may not be on Earth. Like the vibe that I get is that like some of these may not even exist yet. Like they may be future incarnations of yours, and so maybe this energy is just starting. But your soul has an ability to see through all the crap and see what's real. And so the closer you get to your soul and the more you get to know yourself, the more you will be able to trust what your soul is telling you, and the more you will be able to manifest abundance for yourself, and the easier you will be able to like handle the ups and downs of life and know what's important at the end of the day. So like, you know, when you're really overwhelmed with a lot of different things, you can be overwhelmed with things that don't even really matter. I think you're learning how to do away with what just creates like mental or emotional clutter, or like what blocks you from seeing the truth of your soul, and you're learning how to discard that and to allow your soul energy to come through. Because one thing, your soul is incredibly protective of the souls around you, and it's also a very loyal soul. So I think that you do typically incarnate either with the same soul family or the same few soul members. I think that there are specific people that you have very strong past life connections to. The majority of them are platonic. So I would say some of your closest friends or some of your closest family members you have had many past lives with. And another thing that I'm seeing as well is I think that one thing you're doing in this lifetime is learning how to purge a lot of the things that your soul has accumulated through your lifetimes with this release card. I think that you're learning how to, I think that the goal of this lifetime is to heal a lot of the things that were left unhealed in your previous lifetimes, so that you can more fully embrace like your multidimensionality and not let the things weighing on your soul hold you back from doing amazing things. Because I think one thing that your soul and spirit wants you to know is that you are safe. And if you struggle to feel safe, I would well, one, obviously, any physical measures you can take to do that are important. But sometimes we just don't feel safe because we don't feel connected to the earth. And so maybe one thing Spirit is saying is you may want to work on grounding a little bit more and work on feeling connected to the earth, and trust that the earth has you. The earth is protecting you, loving you, keeping you safe. I would also encourage you to look at your draconic astrology chart. You could have like a Sagittarius sun or Sagittarius placements. You could have Sagittarius placements in general, of course, but your draconic chart is supposedly like your soul's blueprint. So I would look at your draconic chart and see what's in there. But I think overall, your soul knows how to have fun. Your soul knows how to have a good time, and your soul knows how to make you successful. And oh, I just heard golden shadow. So if there's anybody like really famous or anybody that like you look up to and are kind of envious of, but only because you want what they have, that is your golden shadow. And I think Spirit is saying that is something you should be striving or aspiring towards. So unless you just admire this person and you don't want anything from their life, I think Spirit is saying that the people that you admire or envy the most, maybe a mix of both, that's the direction you want to head in. Study what they did to become successful. And that doesn't mean copy them verbatim or do that, but see like what lessons they've learned that you can integrate. See what mistakes they've made so that you don't make those. See what they did to get where they are now. I'm actually hearing the book Maud Sun, Did I Ever Wake Up? Wow, I haven't read that in years, so I don't know where that's coming from, but that may be a good book to read. So I actually think it's available on one of his albums, maybe. I could be wrong though. But it's Modsun, Maud Sun. Yeah, I think that genuinely you are a very compassionate person. You are very kind, and you deserve all the wonderful things coming your way. I think your soul is incredibly unique, and maybe one difficult thing is that there's like a purity to your soul where that purity gets muddled by just human life. And I think one thing that Spirit wants you to know is that actions and behaviors and past events do not dictate the truth of who you are. And in fact, I think when you are kind, when you are generous, when you are giving, when you are loving, that's when you feel most like yourself and most like your soul. And Spirit's saying like, those are the parts of yourself that you deserve to honor the most, because those are who you truly are. And so, you know, if you have a bad day or you lash out at someone, that doesn't mean you're fake. It doesn't mean that you're a horrible person. It just means that you're having a bad day, man. And you're just, you know, not having a good time. That doesn't mean that you're not still a kind and wonderful person on the inside and out. Because, like, we've looked at all of them, and I think you're pretty great, pile one. And I think, too, the goals of your lifetimes right now are to gain knowledge. Like with this sword, it's like you're trying to understand truth. You're trying to get clarity. You're trying to understand what is real and what is not. What propels you and what repulses you. What will help you and what will hurt you. Who will help you and who will hurt you. I mean, this life is all about in a way getting the bag, but I don't think it's necessarily getting the bag. I think it's just enjoying life, enjoying what life has to offer, and also eliminating the aspects of life that drag you down, or eliminate the aspects of life that haunt you or taunt you. You know, I think with this Temperance card, this lifetime, and what your soul is working on is how to blend both light and shadow, and experience like the duality of life, experience the duality of being a separate soul in a body, but also still being one with the universe, being one with everyone. Because now I'm hearing Rihanna say, "You are the one that I dream about always." But am I getting anything else, Spirit? I think that's it, pile one. So, pile one, I think I'm gonna leave this reading here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this reading was a bit different, but I just wanted to read some energy. I really didn't want to like do anything else other than read energy today, and I hope that I read your energy well. Thank you so much for letting me read your cards, and for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But if you are interested in supporting me in other ways, you can comment down below. Let me know how this resonates. You can like this video. You can share it with your friends. See if I can read them as well. You can subscribe and click that little bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a new reading, but you don't have to. You can check out a reading of mine where there is an extended. There is no extended for this reading today. But yeah, I think that's all I have. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you are watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 2. If you guys chose the Aqua or a Quartz, this is going to be your reading on who you are. So we're going to go ahead and start with your surface level personality, so what other people see, and what you feel comfortable like showing to the world. So to start, we have Universal Light, which is this chakra right here. I think it's like the star soul chakra, but like that's a mouthful, so I say mega star chakra. So you got the mega star chakra, and the comic, I love to see it. I already love this pile. I already love this pile. Okay, let's see what else though. We have Follow Your Dreams. Ooh, I love how similar those are. We have the Royal You. We have Athlete, dedication to transcending physical limits, including handicaps, development of personal willpower, and strength of spirit. The Shadow attribute is misuse of athletic ability for selfish ends, false sense of invulnerability and entitlement. We also have the 6th chakra, Archangel, funny, it's Metatron, but I do like to call him Megatron. So, yeah, Megatron, you got some mega energy. We also have the Star. We have Friendship. We have the Crow. We have Magic. Wow, this is so cool. We also have I forgive myself for giving my power away by valuing the opinions of others over my own. I choose to believe that when I trust myself to clarify and stand by my own truth, I allow for the creation of a world I actually want to live in. And we have, I forgive myself for shaming my inclination to fall into deep despair in the face of a challenge. I choose to believe that my most intense emotions contain crucial messages that, when received, allow for the alignment with my truest desires. Okay. I love you, Pile 2. Oh my god. I love your surface level personality. I'm sure I'll love the other parts of you, but I don't know what's there yet. Let's talk about your psychic abilities, shall we? Because you've got a lot of them and an intense amount of purple here. Which, interestingly, purple is a royal color. And one thing that I'm hearing is that some of you may be descended from some type of royalty. Maybe you are actual royalty. You could be, you could just be a Leo. You could have Leo energy in you. Or you could be like really fascinated by royalty. Like maybe you connect to a historical royal figure. But there's a prestige to your energy where, like, I just heard lions don't something at the opinions of sheep. Well, I don't know what the verb I was supposed to use there is. Lions don't something at the opinions of sheep. But it's like they don't care about the opinions of sheep, essentially. And I would say you're more of a lion. Even though there is no lion energy showing up here, I do think that there's just an element of, like, pride. Like, there's parts of you where maybe you're a little bit entitled sometimes, no offense. We all are. Like, I can be an entitled bitch sometimes. Hopefully not to other people. I just catch myself. Well, not to other people. I'm kind of... This isn't about me. Anyway. Well, I catch myself, like, word vomiting. So maybe that's something that you do either when you're nervous or when you feel like you've accidentally said the wrong thing. One thing I will say is that you're a wonderful friend and your friends really, really love you. And actually, with the star here, you could be like the center of your friend group, or you could be like famous on, you could be literally famous, or you could be like, well, social media fame is technically literally fame. So, like, I don't know, if you're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it may be, you could have a following of some kind. You could be an influencer or something like that, but you certainly don't have to be. I think that even if you've got like 2 followers or you're not even on social media, I think you're just a star in your own right. And what I love is we have this comic energy here, and it kind of emulates the star. I think that you're fucking hilarious, Pile 2. And actually what's really funny is I don't know if you've ever seen the YouTube series, The Most Popular Girls in School, but it's actually what inspired me to do this reading today, and I feel like since you guys are funny, you'll appreciate it. If you've never seen the very first episode, it's literally like stop motion with like Barbies, and it's incredibly vulgar, and I absolutely love it. And it's just like the very first episode, like, you know, there's like a couple popular girls in the bathroom, and some new girl comes in to take a shit in the bathroom, and they're like, who the fuck are you? And then the new girl's like, who the fuck are you? And then one of the popular girl's friends is like, she's Mackenzie Zales, head cheerleader, homecoming queen, part-time model. Then she's like, who the fuck are you? And then the new girl goes, I'm Deandra, I'm new. And it's just a really ridiculous, and I don't think I needed to go into that much detail about it, but like that was just playing in my head all day, and so that's why I did this reading. I just thought y'all would appreciate that since you're funny. But if you like funny things, I think you should look at that. Unless your taste is more elevated than mine. I don't know. I don't know. I definitely think that you are in pursuit of like what you believe to be your soul mission or your life's purpose. And I think people know that. I think that they know that your path is incredibly important. And I think people see you as somebody who is either connected to their own divinity or has some ghosties whispering in their ear or something. I definitely think you have the ability to channel without realizing it, which with this universal light coming through, I think that you are naturally gifted when it comes to like being funny or just expressing yourself, or your mental gifts. I do think that you definitely use humor as a coping mechanism, with peace and love, of course. But I think that people just love being around you because you're so funny. Like, you can be the life of the party But you can also just, I think like you're that person who maybe when you're by yourself, you're like cracking jokes to yourself, cracking yourself up. But like if you're one-on-one with somebody, you're maybe more so connecting to them. But once you're in a group, once there's more eyes, it's like you become the comic, like you become funny. Maybe some of you were like class clown in high school or something. Better than what I got. We're not even gonna get into that. But with this athlete here, you could be a literal athlete. You could have been a student athlete. For some of you, you may have a reputation. This is a very, very, very specific message, so only take it if it resonates. But if you were a student athlete in like high school or college, or maybe even professionally, I don't know who's watching this, you may be known for using those abilities to woo people that you're interested in, but that interest may not be more than physical sometimes. So maybe some people feel like you don't have to be like a student athlete, like maybe you're just very physically attractive, and maybe you use that physical attraction to get what you want, which like no shame, you know, we all do things and exist. But I do think that could be like part of your shadow that people acknowledge. With this crow card here though, oh, I just saw like Satan, there's a South Park episode, which I hope you watch if you pick this pile. But if you've ever seen the South Park episode where like Satan is throwing a Halloween party and they're like making fun of the My Super Sweet 16 show, and he's like, I'm showing up as the crow, like nobody else better show up as the crow, like, or you're not getting in. And then he changes his costume anyway. But anyway, there was no point of that. I just think it's a really funny episode, and you haven't seen it, you should watch it. But anyway, you guys also talk really fast. And maybe it's just because you're very mentally quick. It's actually one of the things that is like magic to people is your ability, one, to come up with comebacks, retorts, if you will. And you're very good with like word play. So like maybe you're very good at like haikus, or coming up with little poems, or maybe you're just a really good writer. I also think that you're very good with technology. Like, you're very intuitive when it comes to technology, interestingly. Like new technology seems to not faze you. Maybe that's because you're more of a futuristic soul. I wouldn't be shocked if you are, because it kind of seems like tech comes naturally to you. And maybe for some of you, you're in like a tech field or majoring in one or something like that, or at the very least interested in doing that. I feel like for some of you, like you're the person that people call when they can't figure something out with their computer, or they don't know how to like download something. I also think you're probably that person who has to like teach your grandparents or your parents how to like use their phones or Facebook or whatever. So kudos to how patient you are. I also think people just see you as an inspiration. The fact that you are following your dream, whatever that is something that people are very impressed by. So maybe for some of you, stand-up comedy is your dream, or content creation is your dream, or maybe your dream is something totally different. Maybe your dream has nothing to do with a career pursuit and everything to do with the people around you. Maybe your dream is just to have some good people around you and to have a good time. Whatever it is, it's like you're following your path and you're in alignment. You seem to the outside very in alignment with that. I do think one thing you struggle with though is, despite how unique you are, you may at times struggle to express that full uniqueness because you are afraid of what other people may think. I think that this is something that has dwindled as you've gotten older, but I definitely think that for some of you, you may really struggle with being your full authentic self. You may also like have to hide who you are around family, or hide certain aspects of yourself around family. One thing I'm seeing with the crow though is I think that you're very good at predicting what's going to happen. So if you're, one thing, I don't want to say this because it sounds kind of dangerous, so I'm only going to say this if you already have money invested in the stock market, because I think you're correct. I'm not saying this to anybody who has never invested anything before, but I think you're very good at investing your money. You're very good at like intuitively knowing like what funds or stocks or whatever the fuck they are to pick. I don't know anything about like that stuff, so I'm not sitting here saying like, hey, go put all your money in the stock market. You'll know exactly what to do. I would just say for those of you who are already involved in that, or cryptocurrency. Oh, I can't believe I didn't even think of cryptocurrency before. So maybe you're really well versed in cryptocurrency as well. Or at the very least trying to. There's a huge light within you. Like, you're definitely here for a purpose, or you're definitely here for a reason. And I think that there's actually multiple reasons why you're here. But I think people, even just people that don't even know you really well, recognize you as somebody special. I do think maybe you put too much weight on your brain, like on your brain power, or a mixture of your brain power and your physicality, because I do think that there's kind of one of the sick jokes about you being so good with your psychic and intuitive senses is that your logical brain doesn't trust them. And so I think sometimes you get stuck in thought patterns or rumination or things like that, where you really struggle at times to know what is best to do for yourself. I think that you're incredibly good at knowing what's best for others to do, but when it comes to yourself, you may struggle with that a little bit more. Some of you could have been born in 1985. I don't know why I was just looking at that, like 85, and it really stuck out to me. Of course, you don't have to. But I also think with the crow here, it's just like, you could be really good at history or something like that. And maybe not even because you enjoy it, but just because it sticks in your memory, or like you remember things based on like cyclical patterns or something like that. Your third eye is incredibly strong. And I actually think one of the most devastating things about your comedy, or devastating things about you, and it's not devastating to you, it's devastating to other people. I think you intuitively pick up on people's weaknesses, on people's insecurities, on what people don't like about themselves. And you can make really biting jokes about it. And you may not even know that this is their insecurity, or you may not even know that this is something that bothers them. But like, that could be a blessing or a curse, depending on who you're roasting or who you're joking with, because you may unintentionally offend or hurt somebody's feelings that you weren't trying to, and that make you feel really bad. But it's also an excellent attribute to have when someone's coming for you, and you can, dish it right back with an extra helping of fuck you when somebody dishes something towards you. It's honestly kind of impressive. You're definitely very quick-witted, and people see you as such. Like, you're not somebody to mess with. I do think, though, that you get kind of stuck in certain mental energies. I think that you may struggle with like depression or anxiety or some sort of mental illness that keeps you from fulfilling what you believe to be your fullest potential at times. But I think one thing that maybe you forget is that you're allowed to struggle, and that when you do have such a big brain, I don't know how big your brain is physically, but you do have big brain energy. I think you struggle at times, like you may have a lot of pride around success and achievement and things like that, and when you're not able to perform at your best, or you're not able to just show up as your best, I think you're really hard on yourself. And I think you feel really bad when you get stuck in these really difficult cycles. I think one thing, like one of your saving graces, is the good people around you, the good friends that you have. And I think that the friends that you do have see you as a wonderful friend and somebody that they really love having in their life, and they feel really lucky that you're in their life. There's just an energy to you where people kind of automatically respect you, and the ones that don't respect you are usually triggered by the fact that they don't feel as good as you in some way. Because the vibe that I'm getting is one that you're either very physically attractive, incredibly intelligent, or both. And you're funny. So like, and truthfully, smart people like are funny. You kind of need to be smart to be funny. Well, not always, but typically. And I think I think that this is a very spiritual time for you. Like maybe you've had a spiritual awakening recently, or you're going deeper into your spirituality. The crow also talks about having like incredible psychic senses. I think your strongest psychic sense is claircognizance. In fact, if you do something like stand-up comedy or like writing or comedic writing or something like that, I think that spirit channels through you really naturally. And sometimes you might be like, wow, where did that come from? Or how did I come up with that? And I think it's because you're just channeling that energy. I think the reason I love this comedy card, actually, I'm going to get the book and read it because I think it's actually incredibly important. I remember I got this card once on a reading I was doing on myself. I'm not saying like, I'm so funny. I'm not saying that. But I just felt like it was so, what the book said about it was so special and important. And I think you guys deserve to hear it too. So let me find it. This is the Wild Unknown Archetypes, by the way. I define it, so that's 26. Okay. Nope, that's, if I can find it. There we go. Okay. So, the comic carries a remedy for all that ails this world. Amid the deepest pain and suffering, there is always the potential to lift up and out of the darkness through laughter. Though dismissed by some as lowbrow or unsophisticated, this archetype actually has a highly advanced mind. Some may use the word genius, as humor requires one to see the situation from afar rather than to be swept away by the drama. The comic sees and accepts the messiness of life, using it as material to be mixed and shaped into a potion to soothe the stressed and serious mind. They literally lighten us up. Thus, within the comic is usually the sage or the magician, working healing magic upon any audience who will lend an ear. The comic may be the archetype that heals the deep division in our world, one pun at a time. So, like, I fucking love this, obviously, because, like, I'm a punny ass bitch. But also, I think this is really important. Joy, jokes, and smiles are a sign of a happy heart. Be wary of spiritual practices or teachers who leave the comic by the wayside. And because I do spiritual shit and I also find comedy to be very important, I want you to know to not stop being funny. And if anybody shames you for it, they're just not funny and they're fucking jealous that they're not. And if they think that it's lowbrow or unsophisticated, then they're losers that don't know how to laugh and they take life too seriously. And you should never feel bad for being funny. Like, I feel bad for people who don't enjoy comedy because, like, who doesn't enjoy laughing? I mean, I don't know, but never stop being funny, never stop being you, because there is a lot of wisdom within humor, and I think this world could use a lot more of it. So I mean, if anything, ramp it up a little bit. But that's you on the surface, so let's keep going and see who you are internally. So next pile to start, we have more Aquarius, I know. We also have the Warrior. We have the Thinking Woman. Don't have to be a woman for this to resonate, of course. We also have Answer the Call. What is your soul calling you to do? We have Detective, great powers of observation and intuition, desire to seek out the truth. Makes a lot of sense considering the comedy angle. I'll put you here. No, I'll put you here. We also have Sacred Sexuality. We have the World. We have Recovery. We have the Taiga. Love that. We also have the Optimistic Otter. Positivity, imagination, playfulness. Gentle and carefree nature spirit. Teach me to enjoy the simple things in life. We also have Fearful, a learned behavior that can be unlearned. Also a low vibrating feeling that creates limitations for you and future happiness. And we also have Envy. Remind yourself that no one has it all. It's okay to celebrate others' successes. You are truly good enough. Wow, okay. So this is kind of similar energy, if I'm being honest. Like, there's not a whole lot that's, I think, okay, let me say this. I think people definitely underestimate how fierce you are and your willingness to fight for a person or a cause that you believe in. Even if that cause is something really stupid, like if you're Team Edward and your friend is Team Jacob. Like, you are going to defend Team Edward to, like, the end. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how stupid it is. Like, I'm thinking of that, is that a Vine or a TikTok where they're talking about, like, the Wizard of Oz or something, and that guy's, like, screaming, like, she came out of a fucking bubble or something. Like, speaking of fucking bubbles, with this sacred sexuality here, you may be healing your relationship to sex, or you may just really enjoy sex. Could be one or the other, but I definitely think that maybe for some of you, like, you've blossomed sexually, or you feel more comfortable expressing your sexuality. Maybe if your sexual orientation is something that you're uncomfortable with or still discovering, I think you're learning how to embrace and honor whatever it is that you're feeling, and recognizing that you don't have to be under a label in order to be valid, that you can just be a sexual being, and that's okay. You don't have to give people labels to know what you are. I also think with this World card here, there's parts of you that are very fixed, which Aquarius is a fixed energy, and the other fixed energies are Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio. So I do think there are parts of you that are pretty fixed, and I think that pertains mainly to your brain power and also your fighting spirit, if that makes sense. Tons of purple again, and even with the tiger, you could be a night owl, or you could just, like, really enjoy life at night, or you could enjoy nightlife. I guess that would make sense. I think that you are somebody very fierce outside and on the inside. Like, I don't think it's very often that you, I don't think it's very often that you let on that you're afraid of things. Because I do think that you are afraid more often than not. I think what you get a kick out of is facing your fears and, like, being like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that, or holy shit, like, I can't believe they couldn't tell how freaked out I was. Like, I think that you definitely challenge this fearful behavior, for sure. But I do think that there are things that you fear more than anything, and you will avoid those things to great limits. One example that I'm thinking of is if there is somebody in your life, if there's, like, a romantic flame from the past, for example, that maybe you think about a lot, like, that might be something that you're too fearful to, like, face, for example, but that's something that might live rent-free in your head and piss you off. Another thing that I'm seeing here with this recovery card, I do think that you are in the process of healing a lot of inner child wounds, and also just healing a lot of painful past experiences, and I think some of them are not even from this lifetime, and you're healing them without even realizing. I do think that you have a bit of wanderlust. I do think that you are passionate about either traveling or meeting people from different cultures and places. With Aquarius being here, I do think that at times you can be a bit of a know-it-all. But I think what helps balance you out is when you go and visit new places or meet people from places that you've never been and communicate with them. I feel like you really value the different perspectives that other cultures and other people can bring to you. I think you're always on a quest for knowledge, and I think you're always thirsting for more knowledge. You could have tons of books in your house. With the thinking woman here, you could what's the word? Analyze your emotions a lot. So you might just like if you feel any emotion, you might have to, like, trace the root of it. Like, why do I feel this way? Or you could just be not very emotional in general and just be very cerebral and logical. You may not feel very comfortable with emotions. Maybe you feel, when it comes to emotions, maybe you feel more comfortable with, like, fire and, like, passion than you do, like, watery energy, which is kind of ironic because Aquarius is the water bearer. But I think a lot of your compassion is extended towards those that are in need, or those that you feel like a calling to help. I think you have a hard time extending that compassion to yourself. And I think you have a hard time allowing yourself to feel emotions about other humans. I think that that's something that makes you a little uncomfortable. And I think truthfully that you have a very neutral, like, viewpoint of most people. And so I think when somebody makes you feel some type of way, I think that freaks you out and you're like, oh, I don't like that. That makes me feel out of control. With this envy card here, I definitely think maybe one thing that you struggle with is like comparing yourself to other people, which is a really common like trait to have, common shadow to have. And I think that you're learning to value what you already have and to recognize that you are good enough. I think one beautiful thing about you though is like you're not going to give up. Like no matter what your goal is, like you are going to follow it, achieve it, do it, and if not, you're going to die trying. Like you are very determined, and I think at the end of the day, you try to see the glass half full. You may struggle at times to see things as anything other than horrible, but I think that's only when you're not in a great space mentally. Because you are so cerebral, I think that your mentality and your mental health greatly impact your attitude, your mood, how you see the world. I think it does that for everyone, but I think because you're kind of closed off from your emotional body, if I'm gonna be honest, not entirely, but I think you're closed off to your emotional body when it comes to personal relationships and like personal connections. But I think it's only you're closed off to them if they pose any sort of threat to you, whatever you perceive to be a threat. But you are a very fun and playful person. I think people really enjoy just like hanging out with you, just doing silly, fun things. You may be kind of a huge nerd. Aquarians like some of the nerdy stuff. So, which I'm a huge fucking nerd. So like I'm not sitting here judging. Like I get it. I heard Lord of the Rings and I heard Star Wars, Star Trek. Wow, okay. There's a lot of Magic the Gathering. That could be something that some of you play. With Answer the Call, I think that there's something that your soul is trying to tell you that you're currently ignoring right now, which I guess we're going to see later. But I do think actually what's really interesting, I think you're way more comfortable with sex, but you're not very comfortable with emotions. So like maybe you express yourself in very physical ways. That would make sense for that athlete to come through as well. I'd say if you have love languages, they're probably physical touch or words of affirmation, quality time. But then again, Aquarians are very acts of servicey. Well, now I've just listed 4 out of 5, so like I'm sure I'm not wrong about one of those. But I think that one excellent ability within you, like part of your quick mind, is you are able to be very perceptive, you know, great powers of observation and intuition, desire to seek out the truth. I think that's what helps you in a comedic sense. You can kind of, you know, see the big picture, see things on a micro level. You can make connections that other people wouldn't. You have an incredibly creative and like futuristic mind. In fact, I think that some of your best work or some of your best achievements are either far into the future or yet to come. I think that as time passes, I smell weed. And I don't have weed in my home right now. So I don't know if y'all are toking, but have fun. I definitely think that there's this fiery spirit within you where like, I can barely even smell. How am I smelling that? That's weird. Anyway, I definitely think that you are somebody who thinks about collectives and things on a grander scale. I think that you really care about like either where you live or like the types of people that are around you. Like I think that there are certain places that you wouldn't live or move to because of the types of people that live there. So like just for example, my freshman year of college, I'll just use myself as an example because that feels safer. my freshman year of college, I went to a different school than the one that I graduated from. And it was literally the worst fucking place ever because everybody was super vapid and shallow, and it was really hard to find people to connect with. And so I got the hell out of there. And before I went there, my only stipulation was I don't know if I'm going to vibe with the people there. And turns out that's actually a huge thing you want to consider when you're moving somewhere is the types of people that inhabit it. And of course there are tons of different types of people, but when there is a standard of the type of person, it can be extra hard to find people that you connect with. And so I think that maybe one thing for you is it really matters, like the types of people that you're around. And yeah. I think with recovery, you're still working on a lot of healing. I also think that maybe you're a bit uncomfortable with your psychic gifts. And I think that's just because they don't make sense from a logical perspective. And I think that you really wish you had some type of logical explanation for certain things. And the truth of the matter is sometimes you're just not going to have that. And I think that maybe sometimes you drive yourself insane trying to get answers for certain things where you don't even really need an answer. You just need to accept it. But that's just the vibe that I get. Am I getting anything else here, Spirit? Something about jumping through hoops. Oh, I think you'll jump through hoops for anybody that you love and care about. But if you don't give a shit about somebody, like, you couldn't be bothered to even pick up your left pinky. Like, I think you're kind of all or nothing. And you're usually all in if it benefits, like, society as a whole or the collective. Or somebody you care about. But when it comes to like individually helping people, I think you're very hit or miss. Like if you're in a very generous mood, maybe, but I think your generosity is mostly extended to people you care about and collectives in need or collectives that you are personally really passionate and care about a lot. So let's go ahead and see what your soul is. I'm interested to see what's going to come in here. Because we have that answer the call. So it seems like there's something within your soul that that your soul's trying to get you to be like aware of, and you're just not picking up on it or you're ignoring it. But let's go ahead and see. So to start, we have agape. We have romantic love. Okay. Wow. All right. Agape, by the way, is unconditional love. We have Avenger, desire to balance the scales of justice, righteousness on behalf of society or oneself. Resorting in the shadow attribute is resorting to violence in the name of a cause. We have Storm Warning. We have Forge, don't follow, pave a new path, be the leader you wish you had. We have Change. I understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement. We have 4. You bring stability and rationality to any situation. You are the rock, and your hard work and perseverance make you a dependable friend, partner, and colleague. I am stable. You know what I heard? I'm a goofy gooba. Rock. We also have number 21. I am good enough. We also have the Hermit, and we have the Turtle, and finally we have Self-Doubt. So this actually makes a lot of sense. If I'm being completely honest, pile 2, T for 2 and 2 for T. I don't know why that's coming in, but you're going to hate this, but one of the big reasons why your soul is here is to experience unconditional and romantic love in either all its forms or or with a specific person or with multiple people. I don't know. Your soul is here to love. And I think that it's not necessarily all romantic love. Let me read what the romantic love card says though, because I have two of these decks. One of them is based on relationships, and one of them is just based on energy. And I use the energy deck. So for this to come out, I think is really telling. The frequency and agape. Oh my God, the frequency of romantic love supports our journey to feel whole and complete through the experience with and reflection of a conscious lover, which makes a lot of sense because your soul is being represented by the Hermit, very Virgo in energy. I've also been telling, well, you're only the second pile, but I've been telling the piles so far to check out your draconic astrology chart. Good luck finding an interpretation because I still have yet to figure that out for myself. But your draconic chart is like supposedly like the chart of your soul. So like, for example, in tropical astrology, I'm an Aries sun, but in draconic astrology, I am a Scorpio sun. Wild. But I definitely think that your soul is very comfortable being alone. You know, I hear Shrek right now. I work alone. Well, he doesn't sound like that, but he's like, you know, he's very solitary. And like, you know, you might have a donkey in your life, you know, who's, who wants to stay up all night with you, swapping manly stories, and in the morning, they'll make you waffles. You may have a hard time being open to other people, and I think that's actually a big soul lesson of your life here, and I feel you groaning right now. I'm sorry, but unfortunately, you can't just do it all yourself. And I think your soul is actually warning you. I don't mean to scare you, but it is interesting that I picked up on somebody. Oh, who is this? There's somebody that either you are avoiding or not talking to, and your soul, if you've been feeling really called to, maybe this person is literally calling you and you're ignoring them, which I mean, you can do whatever you want, set your boundaries, ignore them, do whatever you want. But it's possible for some of you that maybe your soul's getting a little louder. Maybe you've been ignoring something that you aren't supposed to. The fact that we have turtle here is really significant because one, it speaks to you being an old soul, and the fact that we have the Hermit card here, I definitely think that you are an old soul. I also think that you've spent many lifetimes on your own, doing your own thing. I think your soul is very comfortable with relying on itself and relying on nobody else, and I do think that you still find a lot of fulfillment and joy just in your own solitude. I hear not Billie Eilish, but Billie Holiday singing the song Solitude right now. Oh my God, that's even a romantic song. She's like, in my solitude, you call me. I can't sing, but I can't remember the full lyrics to that song, but there's tea in it. I think the biggest thing, though, when it comes to romantic and unconditional love, I think part of your life journey here is to experience unconditional love in a romantic sense. And typically, we have to have unconditional love for ourselves, or at the very least understand what unconditional love is to be able to extend that to a partner. And one thing I will say is that, like, when it comes to romantic love, if you have to sacrifice your needs or you have to sacrifice your unconditional love of self for that person, then that's not good. You want to take care of yourself first. You want to be able to, unconditional love for the self first means that you won't sacrifice, your boundaries, your needs. True romantic love is patient, kind. It simply gives and allows. It doesn't control, push, or intimidate. And I definitely think your soul is saying that it came to this lifetime to change things. Because I think at this point you are pretty stable within yourself. Like, I think actually a lot of your mental health issues, while some of it may stem from like genetics and things like that, I think a lot of it stems from environment, because I do feel like at the soul level, which I mean, like, your mental, your brain is different from your soul, so obviously your soul doesn't pick up that same energy, but when it comes to like your mental health and things like that, the healthier your mental health is, the more your soul is able to kind of shine through. And I think that when your soul is able to shine through, you're actually, I think one thing that you've realized is that you're able to depend on yourself, or you're a lot more dependable than you realize. And there is a lot of stability within your soul. Like your soul has spent many lifetimes learning how to be stable, how to be a rock. You know, the pioneers used to ride those babies for miles. Maybe you were one, riding those rocks. But with I am good enough and self-doubt, I think one big lesson that your soul is learning is how to believe that you're actually good enough, and how to love yourself so unconditionally that you can take risks in romantic love and know that even if they don't work out, that you will still have the people that love you in your life, that you still have a solid, healthy sense of self-esteem. And with the turtle card here, I definitely think that you're slowly but surely learning how to understand your emotions, embrace emotional energy, embrace feelings. It's really interesting because I think that you understand feelings, like you can empathize with people, but you have a hard time understanding your own emotions. And I think that your soul is here in this lifetime to change this hermit energy within you. I think Spirit's saying, like, you know, that yes, you know, love is not everything. It's not something that everybody needs, but I think it's something that you've done without for a lot of lifetimes, and maybe even shunned. And maybe subconsciously that's created like what is it? Like like you almost feel put off or deterred by it. And maybe you've had some really difficult like romantic relationships in the past, and so in this lifetime, and maybe in past ones too, maybe that's some recurring energy, but it kind of seems like Spirit, your soul is trying to get you to realize that a little bit of rocky energy, or a little bit of complications or issues, like, you know, are normal, and like they can be worked through. Obviously, like crazy conflict, and like if you're fighting more than you're happy together, that's a problem. But I think that maybe your past experiences have put you off to this, and as a result, you may be pushing away something that would make you really, really happy because you're afraid of what might happen. You might be afraid of getting hurt. You might be afraid of losing that person. And for a lot of you, you may have nobody in mind, or nobody that you want. You just maybe like you're doing really well in life and you feel like something's missing, but you've never been drawn to romantic love. Or maybe you feel shame for wanting romantic love, which is stupid. Like, why should you feel shame for that? Like, it's a pretty common thing. You know, it's not bad to have. Everybody deserves to have it. And I mean, if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. But I think Spirit is saying, you know, in this lifetime, that's what you signed up for. And you're running away from it because that's your natural instinct. And I think that, you know, the things that you have learned within this lifetime have only further reiterated that romantic love is something that you should be afraid of. And if you've never had unconditional love modeled to you, it's really hard to understand what that actually is. You know, the word love is really abused in our society. Like, you know, people say, oh, I love you, but like, what they might mean is that I love controlling you, or I love that you do what you want for me, or I love that I can get away with shit, or, you know, because sometimes people say that they love you, but they just love controlling you, or things like that, and that's fucked up, and that's not right. And if that's the experience that you've had, Spirit is saying that's not what real love is. And it may take some time for you to realize that unfortunately, maybe what was modeled to you wasn't actually love. It was just other behaviors and other energy being called love. And so that's what you processed it as. But there is a part of you inside that knows that you want this and knows that you deserve this. I think that the best way for you to understand unconditional love is to start practicing it towards yourself. You know, it doesn't mean you just wake up tomorrow and you're like, oh my gosh, I love myself unconditionally, I'm just so amazing, and like I just love myself. Like, unconditional love for self would be things like, you know, when you catch yourself being really hard on yourself, saying, hey, it's okay, I made a mistake, I'll do better next time. Or, you know, I've been working really hard and I think I deserve a break. I think I deserve to take care of myself, or I think I deserve to treat myself, or something. Like, with unconditional love towards yourself means you're patient with yourself. You're kind to yourself. You allow yourself to experience things, both positive and negative. You don't demand things of yourself. You allow yourself to do what it needs, and give yourself the room and the space to experience life, to experience emotions, to experience hardships, to experience mental health issues, to experience difficulties, and not beat yourself up for them. You know, to allow yourself to be imperfect, and to allow yourself to be rejected by others, and to face that rejection and recognize that rejection, first of all, is divine protection, and second, it's not a bearing of your worth. It just means that something's not right, you know? And we all get rejected, man. But I think that you're more afraid of rejected than you, like, honestly, you're pretty impressive. And I think that this card says it all. Self-doubt. You have this beautiful gemmy ass chalice with like a fucking star in it and shit, and you're seeing a skull and crossbones. And that is something that has to change with self-esteem and things like that. It takes time, takes energy, and you may want to reach out for help if that's the case, especially if you struggle with something like body dysmorphia or something like that, where you literally can't look at yourself in a realistic way. You know, you may need somebody else to help you get there, and that's okay. There's no shame in that. And I feel like because you are a very either solitary person, or you just like to rely on yourself, you may have a hard time reaching out for help or asking for help. And I just want you to know that asking for help doesn't make you a weenie. Refusing help because you're too proud to receive it kind of makes you a weenie, bro. So reassess what makes somebody a weenie. But also with this Avenger card, you know, I think you are somebody who does have a lot of love for, like, life as a whole. And I think that there are specifics of life, and sometimes you lose faith in humanity and that pisses you off. But I think you really care about, like, the underdog, about underprivileged people. I think you really care about like making life more just for everyone. But I think the one person you forget to make life a little bit more just for is yourself. And I think that you are so afraid of losing the good things that you gain that maybe you don't even go after them, because what if you lose them? And I think one thing that Spirit is saying is, when you are in the divine energy of unconditional love, you can never, like, go wrong. And I think one important thing is that this unconditional love is also spiritual love. And the best way to understand unconditional love is through, like, your spirit guides and spiritual energy. Angels, for example. Angels are unconditionally loving and will never be angry at you or mean to you or things like that. And people might be like, well, why are angels so kind and giving, and like, how can angels be everywhere at once? Well, first of all, angels aren't humans, and their energy is way more magnificent and grand than any of our human energies will ever be. They can be so many places at once, and they can help everyone. And you might be like, well, why would they want to help people? Well, because when you give away your fear, your pain, your anguish to them, it gives you more space to create, to be inspired, to follow your passions, to follow what makes you happy. When you get rid of the things that are plaguing you, or even just pray and ask that they take away those things. It doesn't mean that they take them away entirely, but they're helping make room for positive energy to come in, for creativity, for everything that I was just saying. And I think one thing that you're learning is that romantic love is not something to shun. Toxic relationships are something to shun. We should absolutely shun that. We do not stand toxic relationships on this channel. And one thing I do want to say about toxic relationships is that just because a relationship is toxic doesn't mean that it is going to be forever toxic. You know, a toxic relationship composes of two people having toxic behaviors. And those can be healed and worked on, but that's only if both parties are willing to work on those issues, willing to do that. I felt called to say that, so maybe for some of you, you may need to know that. But toxic relationships are not the same thing as unconditional or romantic love, you know? And unfortunately, toxic relationships are very common. And usually they show us what we don't want out of life. And that is a blessing in of itself. We figure out what we don't want in a partner so that we can find what we do. But one thing that I think Spirit is saying is maybe romantic love is the one thing that you haven't taken initiative towards because it's the one thing that truly intimidates you, or it's the one thing that you fear. And I think Spirit is saying is that you have more divine support and more positive energy within your favor than you realize, especially because you're intelligent, funny, and like attractive. Like, what are you so afraid of? And I mean, I understand you're afraid of being loved. You're afraid of the vulnerability that comes with that. You're afraid of being open. It's a lot easier to be alone, you know? Nobody can break your heart when you're alone. Nobody can hurt you when you're alone. And, you know, because we had that royal you come out in the very beginning, I do think that you have a lot of pride around either maintaining an image or maintaining a certain status quo that people know you as. So maybe it's like, oh, I don't care about like, you know, romantic love, for example, or something like that. When deep down, it's like the one thing that your soul wants more than anything. Now, it's what your soul wants. It's not necessarily what your ego or what your brain or what anything else wants. And maybe you don't want that right now, and that's okay. But I do think part of your life's journey is experiencing actual romantic love. And if you don't do that, you're just gonna repeat it in the next lifetime. So you might as well be, at the very least, open to it. Open to it whenever you're ready. Doesn't mean right now. Doesn't mean you have to, you know, completely change your life. But I think Spirit is asking you to consider whether or not you're being fair to yourself, and whether you're actually being open to romantic love or things like that, or whether you're avoiding all of it or shunning it. And I would challenge you to study what unconditional love is, to do research on what healthy relationships are, and do research on what healthy communication is and what healthy connections are, so that you can be informed and know how to behave in romantic relationships, and two, how to spot red flags before you get in too deep with somebody. You know, everybody is you can only do your best with the information that you have at the time. And I think that your soul has been calling you to experiencing more love. I think that you are brilliant on your own, but I think that you have no idea how brilliant the experience is of loving someone that is equally as brilliant as you and brings so much to the table that you couldn't on your own. I mean, I don't think that Spirit's trying to bring some bum into your life. I think Spirit's trying to bring somebody really spectacular into your life that could really add to your life and make you feel loved and whole and accepted. And I'm not saying that you need that. Like, you don't need somebody to feel whole and accepted, but I think that you have a really hard time doing that to yourself. And I think an actual loving relationship could be very healing to you, because it could help you see at a very intimate level just how deserving you are of love and of kindness and of patience and compassion, because you can give that to other people, but you have a really hard time giving that to yourself. And I think that, truthfully, I think that you should do whatever you want. You should do whatever you want, but I think that you should consider what I'm saying. And I think that you should do research into healthy relationships and healthy relationship dynamics and healthy communication patterns, because obviously you're not going to know what a healthy relationship is like if it's never been modeled to you. You're not going to know what healthy communication looks like if you've never had healthy communication expressed to you. And unfortunately, you know, we're stuck with the upbringings that we have, and hopefully your parents did the best that they could, but even if they didn't, you know, sometimes it's up to us to learn things and to flip the script and to change things. And maybe for some of you, if the reason why you avoid romantic love or avoid things like that is because of your parents, for example, you know, maybe they went through a divorce or something traumatic, I think Spirit is saying is that doesn't mean that's the truth of all relationships. And fuck, I'm gonna cry if I talk about this, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway. My parents have been together for, oh gosh, since 1992, so however long that is, and they're still happy. They still love each other, and of course they're not perfect, and you know, there are aspects that about each other that I'm sure they wish were different, and I'm sure, you know, they don't wake up every day madly in love with each other, but they genuinely love each other. They've built a life together. They communicate in healthy ways, and I'm lucky enough to where that they've modeled that for me. And so I know for a fact that healthy romantic love does exist. And I'm not saying that as like an ignorant child that thinks that my parents are like, you know, in love when really like they're toxic or something. They're not. Like, they have a genuinely good, healthy relationship. They love and respect each other. Actually, that's a good point. One of the foundations of true romantic love is respect for each other. If your partner doesn't respect you, or if you don't respect yourself, you really can't authentically love yourself. Respect is incredibly important, as well as communication. And I think that these are all things, like, the biggest reason why romantic love is a part of your soul's journey and purpose in this lifetime is not for the Disney wedding or the happily ever after. It's for the things that you have to learn when you're in a genuine, healthy relationship with someone. It's the growing pains. It's the working through conflict. It's the compromises. It's the learning how to operate as a unit and also as an individual. It's learning how to have healthy boundaries and, you know, not lose yourself in another person, how to maintain your sense of self while also operating within a unit. There's so many valuable things that you learn within relationships that have nothing to do with romance. Like, there's a lot of really toxic shit that society like teaches us from a young age about what romantic relationships are supposed to look like, or what we're supposed to do. And I think Spirit is challenging you to look beyond the mushy gushy bullshit and challenge yourself to, at the very least, be open to something if it comes along, or be open to something if you have been putting it off. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. You are a natural leader, and I think Spirit is asking you to take the lead in this situation in any way you can. And truthfully, I don't mean like in romantic love. I mean, I think take the lead in your own life, which I think you already do. With Forge, Don't Follow, pave a new path, be the leader that you wish you had. I think this is also be the lover that you wish you had. You know, idealize who the ideal partner would be for you, and think about that. And also, you know, think if you can analyze like the relationships around you, you know, what do you see in relationships around you that you think isn't healthy, or you don't like, or you wouldn't want? You know, look at your old relationships and, you know, think what didn't work, how was I ineffective as a partner, what really didn't sit right with me. I think there's so many. You're so fucking smart. And so my point of all of this is, one, that you're so deserving of love, of true actual love. And two, it's so unfair to yourself to push something away solely because you're afraid, or solely because you've convinced yourself that it will all go to shit anyways. Sometimes we have to admit that our attitude is what's holding us back. And I think in this case, your attitude towards love is something that is really holding you back in your soul's purpose. Because I actually think that there could be somebody pretty impressive that you either already know or that you have yet to meet that could be an excellent partner for you, and that could help you forge this new path. Because I do think that you're on a very unique path, especially with the Hermit card here. But I think you've got another Hermit. There's another Hermit out there, and I would be willing to bet you're more similar to them than you realize. But you may forge a new path together. Spirit is saying that you are ready for this, and you are good enough for this. The only person holding you back from it is yourself. And I think at the end of the day, like, a lot of magnificent aspects about you that we saw in the earlier piles, are parts of your soul as well. But you are very excellent at distancing yourself from the parts of your soul that you don't want to listen to. And I think that's why this is the part that's coming through. And your soul wants you to know that you are so worthy of the things that you desire and that you deserve, at the very least, to go after them. So pile 2, I think I'm going to leave this reading here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But if you would like to support me in other ways, you can check out my merch. You can check out our reading with an extended on it. You can like this video. You can comment down below. Let me know how it resonates. You can tell me how mad you are that I just called you out. You can I think I did say like, subscribe, all of that if you want to. You can check out my social media. Just be careful. There are a lot of scammers impersonating me. All of it is linked below. If it is an account that is not linked below this video, then it is not mine. Thank you guys so much for letting me read your cards. I hope this resonated. You know, all I really wanted to do today was read energy. So I hope that I did a good job. Yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye. Hi there, pile 3. If you guys chose the Yooperlite, I'm sorry I had to. This is going to be your reading on Who Are You? I hope Soulja Boy picks this pile if he ever sees my channel. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and start by looking at your surface level personality. So this is what you are comfortable showing others, and also what other people perceive about you. So to start, we have the throat chakra, number 23, truth. We have Thanatos. We have blossoming abundance, beyond the ordinary, monk/nun, selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit. And the shadow attribute is negative judgment of the physical world, excessive piety. We also have physical activity. Oh my god, I just heard Fergie saying, "I be up in the gym, just working on my fitness. ASO's my witness." Ooh-wee. We also have peace. We have owl. We have death. We have heartbreak. I'm also, actually, interestingly, so I took a break between the first 2 piles, and now I'm finishing the last 3 because the first 2 were long and it was getting late. But when I was setting up last night for you guys for pile 3, I heard Mr. Brightside like coming out of my cage, and I've been doing just fine, and I just heard it again. So Mr. Brightside must be very significant. So the first ego card we have is, I forgive myself for thinking that the more I give, the more will be expected of me. I choose to believe that when I ask myself to give only when I am in alignment with the joy of giving, I experience a deeper connection that allows me to access more joy and fulfillment. And we also have, I forgive myself for feeling as though I may somehow mess up everything should I choose to trust myself. I choose to believe that I allow myself to gently follow my instinct. I strengthen my intuitive muscle and set myself up for future success. So hella Scorpio energy here, straight off the bat. So you can have like a Scorpio rising or have a lot of Scorpio placements. You certainly don't have to, but we have the death card and we have Thanatos, which also represents death. So I would say that you've gone through an incredible transformation, either in the recent past or it's still occurring. And this is something that a lot of people are noticing about you. Like, I was hearing as I was laying out the cards, like, you've changed. And I felt almost like defensive for you guys. Like, no, yeah, of course they've changed. Like, they've changed because like you're growing, you're evolving, and you're not stagnating. And I think that maybe there are certain people in your life who are upset by this transformation within you because they can no longer benefit from the same ways that they could when you were not this newer version of yourself, is the vibe that I'm getting. I do think for some of you, this could be like a post-breakup glow up. because with the heartbreak card and then both death energies here, it's quite possible. I mean, this could have been a divorce, a breakup, divorce, or just like, so it doesn't even have to be relationship related. Like maybe you didn't get into a program that you wanted, or you didn't get the job you thought you wanted, or you did get the job you thought you wanted and it turned out to be like nothing that you thought it would be, or you've been following a certain life path or following a certain plan for so long and it didn't lead you where you thought it would, or you ended up heartbroken. I don't want to reduce it just to love, because heartbreak can come from so many different things. So I'm sorry for just coming out with those, like, you could have gone through a breakup, but like that could also be something, you know, that often inspires us to glow up and things like that. It may have not even been like a legit breakup. It could have been a situationship that you still got your heart broken with. But I mean, one thing that I will say that I just admire about you is I think that your willingness to wear your heart on your sleeve around people that you feel safe with is really incredible. I also think that people massively underestimate how deeply you feel things and how deeply you take in the world. Like everything is very, there's like, well, for obviously there's layers to everybody, but you're very, I don't know if perceptive is the right word, but like you're very good at making like connections between things that would seem unrelated to other people. I also think that one big change within you is that you're learning how to speak your truth with the throat chakra here, and the fact that it's a 23, because I wanted to say 23 before I said like the throat chakra or anything else. And in numerology, 23 reduces to 5, and 5 is the number of change. And so I think you're really changing how you communicate with people. I think you're being a lot more honest with people, and you're not people pleasing like you used to. I don't think that maybe you were like the biggest people pleaser in the world, but I definitely think that maybe you felt pressure at times to just say what you needed to say or go with the status quo. One thing that I'm seeing here, and this is going to be incredibly specific, so it's not going to resonate for all of you. I heard whistleblower. So for some of you, you could have been in some intense situation where you spoke the truth, and it could have cost you a lot. It could have cost you everything. It could have cost you the life that you were living before. And I think one thing that Spirit wants to say is you didn't have to speak the truth, and the fact that you did shows your strength of character and just how powerful you truly are. But other people see you as a bit otherworldly. For some of you, you may be known as like some people, you may identify as like a medium or something like that. That's not going to be for all of you, but for those of you that do, you may be especially good at channeling like earthbound spirits, or ghosts, I guess you could call them. I call them earthbounds personally, but you could just have a very special connection to like cemeteries, the dead. Some of you could have a birthday on, I'm going to butcher this, I'm sorry. It's Day of the Dead, but it was coming through in Spanish, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to say that right, but I think it's Dia de los Muertos. Probably butchered the pronunciation, but I think that's it. I could be incorrect. I'm so sorry if I'm wrong. I also catch myself apologizing a lot in this pile, so maybe that's something that you're working on as well. So I mean, I know I apologize sometimes in my readings, but I don't do it that rapid fire. So I do think that's something that's coming through. I definitely think that you've been working on your physical health, and I think that's one thing that's been really helping you. I just heard body, mind, and spirit. Body, mind, and spirit. So I think that you've been working on physically transforming yourself, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually transforming. You could have gone through like an intense spiritual awakening. I think that some people are noting that this shift seems to be a bit intense. Like maybe your spiritual side came out of nowhere, or maybe you recently converted to a religion that seems out of nowhere or something like that. But you definitely have a connection to, actually what's interesting, you have a connection to earth. I was trying to say you have a connection to spirit, but you have a much stronger connection to earth, actually. And maybe you're just starting to realize that if you're just starting to kind of venture out into the world. But one of the really cool things about you is that you are very different, but you are able to connect to the earth in a way, like, for example, very starseedy people may not be able to. So I think that if you believe in that sort of thing, of course, I think that you just maybe have a more natural connection to nature, maybe a more natural connection to animals. But I also think this extends to like cycles within the earth. So like, for example, you might be interested in like history or finance, economics, something like that, where you really like studying like human behavior patterns or seeing how like collectives and these collective behavior patterns create certain outcomes, and how those outcomes affect future generations, and how it's all connected. I think it's almost like, yeah, with this Thanatos energy, like this web, it's like you like seeing how everything interconnects. And I think as well, you could be well connected. Like maybe you have a lot of good people in your life that you're lucky to have, or maybe you have a lot of good, like, what's the word, like colleague connections or something like that. You're incredibly perceptive, and with the owl here, I would say it's likely that you're either claircognizant or clairvoyant, or both, or maybe way more. There's definitely some psychic ability being indicated here. Now, obviously, sometimes I feel like it can be an eye roll for people when a tarot reader is like, oh yeah, you have psychic abilities, but like every single human on this planet has psychic abilities. But the fact that it's coming through for you in the surface level part means that people recognize you as somebody who either is psychic or very intuitive, and that they trust your visions. Like, this actually came out in a different pile too, Bitcoin. I don't know if you're interested in like cryptocurrency or something like that, but you could be very good at like timing markets and things like that if you're interested in something like that. I don't know anything about the stock market, like cryptocurrency, so forgive me if I like butchering that stuff, but I do think that you've really changed in wonderful ways. And anybody who has shit on you for these changes is just upset that they can't get away with the same shit that they could before. And that is like the cold hard truth. I do think that you're learning how to live for yourself now. And for some of you, I get the vibe like maybe you spent a really long time being dedicated to someone else. I can't even remember what reading this is from, but I do remember a reading where I felt like that pile maybe got involved in a relationship really early. I heard this specific age 19 in that specific reading, and that energy is coming back. So maybe if you had that reading, if you picked this pile, hi, happy to have you here again. But I also think that it resonates here. Like maybe you got into a serious relationship really early on in your life, and it did a number on you, or maybe you spent the majority of your life like trying to find what you wanted in yourself and somebody else, and maybe it took you trying to find it in everyone else to realize that you weren't going to find it there, and that you had to find it within. People recognize you as somebody very special, and somebody that is worldly and otherworldly at the same time. It's really a cool energy. And with the Beyond the Ordinary, both of these cards talk about clairvoyance, so I think that you could have a very strong like third eye. You could be very visual. You could be a visual learner, or maybe for some of you, you're artists or something like that. Even if it's not like your profession, maybe it's something you just do on the side, but people note that like you're a really great artist. This Yooperlite actually is a third eye stone, and what's really cool is that it reacts differently under UV light. And I literally went last night to like go and find a UV light, but none of the stores in my area had one. So I guess I'll just have to save that for another time. But I tried. But the cool thing about when you see Yooperlite under UV light, it glows in a different way. And so I think that maybe people see you in a different light, or like the people that truly matter see you in a different light, and you glow in ways that maybe people didn't see before. It kind of feels like while a lot old parts of you are gone, you've never felt more like yourself. I also think for some of you, maybe you're really drawn to the darker aspects of life, like death, for example. For some of you, you could work in a field like hospice or something like that, which if you do, thank you so much, because that's such a necessary field. You know, shout out to, what are they? CNAs, nursing assistants, you know, the people that are like really grinding in the healthcare field. Shout out to you guys. I mean, shout out to the nurses and doctors as well, but like you guys are just like, even the people, you know, if you're, whatever your title is, like everybody's important at every level. So thank you for what you do. With the monk nun, I do get the vibe that maybe some people are annoyed by your spirituality. But I would say if that is the case, that's their problem. And also, I think the reason why they're annoyed by your spirituality or by your religious practices is because it gives you a much stronger backbone, and it's a lot easier for you to say no. It's a lot easier for you to be more in line with what is truly authentic to you. And I think that people that maybe in the past wanted to take advantage of that or use that to their benefit, they can't do that anymore. They can't necessarily manipulate you the way they could before, and that sucks for them. I do think that there is a fear on your end of giving your energy to people now, because you did give for a very long time, and I think that you're afraid that if you do give, that there won't be enough left for you. But I think one thing that Spirit is saying is that your earlier experiences weren't to make you completely afraid of ever being open, vulnerable, or giving to anyone, but they were meant to show you that not everybody is worth giving to, and you shouldn't necessarily, there should be limits on how much you give to others, but that also you can trust yourself to know who it is right to be generous to. And you know, the biggest thing about generosity and giving is don't give unless you feel called to give, because, you know, true giving is giving without the expectation of receiving. Giving with the expectation of receiving is typically like manipulative, or it's not really genuine, you know what I mean? Even if it's not manipulative. But with the peace card, I think that you're really dedicated right now just to finding your peace, finding your own balance, which I think you definitely have been. There may be a slight emotional unavailability to you, but I think that's totally normal, especially when you've been going through like some difficult things at the heart. With this Blossoming Abundance card, I definitely think that you're improving in your career, or maybe you're starting a new business, or you have started a new business and you're doing well. I really do think that people see you as like doing a complete 180. Like I just heard Dua Lipa saying, like, I heard Don't Start Now by Dua Lipa, you know, where she's like did a full 180. And like, I think that you're really just learning to prioritize yourself finally, and learning to embrace all the blessings that life has directly in front of you. I think you're learning how to not be so focused on what is yet to come, or what the universe is bringing you, or what you don't have. And I think one thing that you need to know is that you can trust yourself to make good decisions and to protect yourself. It's through these transformations that we learn and we grow, and you have more knowledge than you did when you made those past mistakes. And so it's, and I don't even want to call them mistakes. They're not mistakes. I think maybe you would view them as mistakes, but I would challenge you to call them learning experiences. I think wording is important sometimes. And, you know, one thing that I don't like about kind of, I mean, I don't know what the culture is in other places, but I would say that this is the culture, at least that I notice in like the States and kind of Western culture, is, you know, people are very like difficult when it comes to love. Like people, like for example, if you have a type, or if you have a dating pattern, or you're seeing somebody or something like that, I feel like a lot of people have like the natural tendency to be maybe more negative or more hesitant, or you know, if people that love and care about you have seen you hurt before, you know, they'll do shit like, oh, well, how do we know that this is gonna be real? And it's like, well, the only way you know is if you explore and find out. Like 90 Day Fiance is an excellent example of this, which obviously it's a trash fire reality TV show. But I remember specifically, I can't remember what season, but I know for a fact their names were Matt and Elle. And I think Elle was from Ukraine and Matt was from the Midwest. And, you know, he's obviously like a very sweet, kind-hearted guy that's probably gotten taken advantage of. Now, obviously, I don't know his full story. I'm just based on what the show is showing. But like all of his friends, like some of his friends were fucking mean to him, like about him finding this girl in Ukraine. And I'm pretty sure they're still together. I'm pretty sure they have a family. I'm pretty sure, like, I mean, I don't know if they're happy or not. I hope they are. But like, how is he gonna know something's gonna work out for him if he doesn't at the very least explore it? You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, as a society, like at least in my corner of the world, I don't know about yours, I hope it's not this way in yours, that people can be very discouraging when it comes to opening up and being vulnerable and like being open to others. And especially when you've had rocky relationships in the past, I feel like your friends and family can hold that against you sometimes. And I think it's super unfair. And I just think that we need to fucking change that, because it makes people afraid to explore things. And I think that if we just all put a little less pressure on ourselves and allowed ourselves to just openly explore things and not place any expectations, then we can see for ourselves whether it's something we want to pursue further or not. You know, I think that you're dedicated now not to fulfilling a wild dream or something, but to fulfilling your truth and to honoring your truth. And I think that people see that as beyond the ordinary, because most people are not following their truth. Most people are following what they feel they should be doing or what they were taught to do, which is typical. And so I think one thing that you need to know is like the people that if anyone's disparaging you, give me their Addy, I'll fight them. But if anybody is like talking down to you or being condescending or something like that, you know, it's all them. Like, it's all them. And, you know, if they're too afraid to go out of their comfort zone and take risks and try new things, that's on them. But that doesn't need to be on you. And, you know, and they say things like, well, you know, we just love you and we want to protect you and stuff like that. But you can come back at them and say, you know what, I love you too, but I can protect myself, and I would appreciate you being supportive and trusting that like I can do what is best for myself. So I don't even, and I feel like for a lot of you, you're either not in a place at all where you're looking for that, or maybe you're thinking about it again, but you're really afraid and you don't like really want to. I mean, you may want to keep what you're doing just under wraps, because maybe like the people around you might be sort of discouraging, and I think you know that it comes from a protective place, but that doesn't mean it's helpful, you know? I think there's good intentions behind what they're doing, but I think it just creates more of a wedge and a divide between you and the people that love you, and I think it's just not... I think that we as a society need to start trusting our peers to make their own decisions and make their own mistakes and or make their own learning experiences and grow from them. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing on the surface. I definitely think that people see you as somebody who is really changing for the better. I definitely think that you have people that are very protective of you, though. And so one thing I do want you to know is that it's wonderful to have people that are protective of you, but you can't let them stop you from living your life. And also, you're more than equipped to protect yourself. You are a treasure. I just heard Bruno Mars saying, like, treasure. That is what you are. You are treasure. And I think that you also, sorry for my voice, by the way. I've had like a sore throat for like a week, and I think I've just had a pretty bad cold, so I hope that that's not too distracting. But this owl card also talks about treasure. So I think that like you are moving up, especially like financially. I think that you're doing really well for yourself. I think that while I think you're closing out a very difficult period of your life where you've had to say goodbye to a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of places that just no longer serve you. And I think while it's been hard, it's been making room for this new beginning where you flourish as your authentic self. And I think you're doing an excellent job. I do think, though, maybe one thing you want to keep in check is to remember that you are still a physical being on the physical plane, because the deeper you go into spirituality, you know, the more you will the more things will get wee-wooey, and the more 3D reality or the physical reality will feel less real, which truthfully the spirit world is much more real than our own physical reality. But I think one thing spirit is saying is to not judge or shame the people that know less than you, or the people that don't know these things. I don't think that you do that outwardly, but you might do that inwardly. And I think spirit is asking you to remember that everybody is at their own place in time, and everybody's, you know, just doing the best that they can. And I think one thing that spirit wants you to know is the more you work on yourself and the more you focus on being a better version of yourself, the more you're going to run into people that are not interested in that, and have maybe stagnated for a long time, or are very happy with who they are and are not interested in changing that. Or maybe they're very unhappy with who they are, but they're not interested in changing that. And I think that spirit is saying that the further you go down this experience, the more you're going to come across people like that. And it's very easy to be bitter, or to roll your eyes at them, or just be like, oh, they're ignorant, or they don't know anything. And whether that's true or not, I think it's important to remember that we're all just souls having a human experience, and everybody is at their own place in life, you know? I think especially you might find yourself being triggered by people that remind you of your past self, and I would challenge you to be extra compassionate towards those people, because even if it's not outwardly, just inwardly, like your inward attitude about them, because I think that will help you have more compassion for your past self as well, and make you realize that you really were just doing the best you could at the time you were living that experience. And it was all of those experiences and that past version of yourself that brought you to this new beautiful beginning and this new true version of you. So yeah, okay, that's what I see for the surface. So let's go ahead and see what's going on internally. Whew, that was like intense. Got some intense energy, that's for sure. I heard Capricorn as well, so if it's not... Okay, let's go ahead and look at... We'll just keep going. Let's go ahead and look at your internal world now. So to start, we have fire. We have Eros. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. We have storyteller, ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. And the shadow attribute is making up tales that harm others. We also have you're already doing it, stop overthinking, keep facing your true north. We have ancestors. We have strategy. We have the clever crow, mystery, intelligence, cycle of life, observer of birth, life, and death, teach me creative and destructive magic. So you could be getting into magic of some kind. I definitely think that you have one thing that you are learning how to do, which I think is actually really challenging for both Scorpios and Capricorns, is letting go of control. Which of course that can be for any sign. Those were the biggest signs coming through. And I think that you're learning that, like, maybe one thing in your past that you did a lot was you were maybe very nostalgic for times in your life where things were seemingly perfect in your eyes. But what you have to remember is that when you were experiencing that moment in the present, you didn't feel that way. It was only when you were looking back. And I think one thing that you're realizing now is those special moments, you really have to be present and enjoy them, because you're not going to see the full beauty of them in the present unless you're open to it, because, you know, we're always thinking about what we need to do or what we're worried about or things like that. And I think that Spirit is definitely saying that they're very proud of how much work you've put into letting go of the need to feel like you need to be in control of life, or it's almost like you're allowing yourself to just witness the mystery of life instead of trying to control life's outcome. We also have the Beaver. We have Balance. And we have the Hanged Man. Yeah, exactly. You're surrendering. This is so wonderful. I think this is so funny too, because this is a tarot reading. There's literally 3 tarot cards in every pile. You get 1 tarot card. Everything else is oracles. But I love oracles, and I think that we didn't need them today, or tarot, much tarot today. So for your shadows, we have emotionally overreacting. You are overthinking, which is causing a flood of unnecessary emotions. And we have, may this oracle deck awaken you to greater authenticity by working through any hidden shadows of your personality. So this is technically not a card within the deck. I feel called to draw another card. I have it over here, so I just will. I didn't realize that deck that was in there, but I still think that's significant for you. I think that you needed that. I'm just gonna take another one. Shout out to I think I'll have her Etsy shop in the description, but I think it's Truth of the Divine or something like that. But she's a wonderful deck creator, and she made these. So definitely check out her Etsy shop if you're interested. She has tons of little mini decks like this, like higher self decks, triggering decks. So if you feel drawn to that, definitely check her out and support her small business. But let's see, what's another shadow spirit that maybe that pile 3 is working on? Egocentric. Not everybody shares the same perspective. Listen to others. You may just learn something new. So I think that's something that you've already been doing. And actually on the back of the deck, we have boundaries. Develop healthy boundaries to make sure you are emotionally and mentally stable. It's okay to say no. I think that's something you've already learned, and that's something, or I mean, maybe not fully learned, but like you've improved a lot, and you're getting a lot better. And I think Spirit is really proud of you with that. Okay, so if you're asexual, this little bit is not going to resonate for you, but I have to talk about it. I think y'all are dealing with some horniness right now. I don't mean that in like I'm laughing at you or something. Like, I totally get it. I think you definitely have a desire for passion, for fire, for physical connections, and for some of you it's deeper. Like, I think for some of you, you're very avoidant of like romantic connections right now, but you still desire like physical intimacy, like that physical connection with someone. Maybe okay, I this is not a politically correct term, but it's what my friends and I would call it. Maybe you're in your hoe phase right now. I don't like that term. I don't think that we are sex positive on this channel, and I don't believe in shaming anybody for how many or little sexual partners they have. Do you just be safe and don't hurt anyone? That's all I care about. But I definitely think maybe you're going through that right now, where you're maybe awakening to your sexuality in a new way, or maybe you're more comfortable with your sexuality, or you're exploring your sexuality. For some of you might be exploring like BDSM or something like that. I definitely think within you there's a desire for romantic love, but it's like either far into the future, or for example, if you already have a partner right now, maybe like maybe you have desire to maybe be more physically intimate with them, or maybe you have the desire to just connect with them more often. You might have a friend that you feel very strongly for that's coming through. I'm not gonna say like, because I'm just reading what's going on internally. I don't know, like that you're gonna have to go to a whole other reading if you want to know about that. That you may feel called to, but I do think maybe there's a friend that you feel very strongly about, that you maybe want to be more than, or maybe friends with benefits with. But this Eros also talks about platonic love as well. I think the book said it best, so I'm just gonna pull it up really quickly. Let's see. Yeah, it's right here. Plato reminds us that Eros can be experienced as platonic love. It is activated when we witness beauty and truth in the world and when our barriers soften. So I do think there is that desire to not be so closed off, to not have your walls up that high, and I think that you have been, like what we saw in your surface personality, is you are learning how to see the beauty in things. You are learning how to see everything that life has to offer. I think maybe you just have a desire for more excitement or more passion. I think that when it comes to you, like, acting in general, and maybe acting as a career, acting in general, it's like when you act, there has to be some sort of passion or fire behind it. But one thing that I find very reassuring about having this fire card come through is I believe fire in Sanskrit is Agni, Agni. I heard Agni in my head, and I think that you found your fire again. And maybe for some of you, if you were in a really bad relationship in the past, I think maybe that's one thing that you lost, was your fire. And it's like maybe you got so lost in this person that you were like, why? Who the hell am I? And it's like you've had to almost rediscover yourself. With this emotionally overreacting, I think that's something that you're working on. But it's definitely something to be aware of. I do think at times your emotions can run away from you. I just heard Aries moon. Sorry. You could have a fire moon, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius moon. I just felt like moon, maybe moon or Venus. You could really have any of those placements, but I've been kind of seeing, like, I've been seeing a lot of astrological signs in the surface level part as like rising signs or things like that, and kind of this internal world being more like your moon or something like that, because it's more hidden, and your sun as well in the more surface level part. But one thing that I realized, like when it comes to our sun, like I feel like I've grown into my sun. So if you connect more to like your moon placement than your sun placement, you may find that like as you grow and evolve, you see yourself becoming more of your sun placement. I do think that you're working on healing ancestral patterns, and also I think that there's something about your genetics. So you may have inherited something that's difficult to deal with through your genetics, like whether it be like a mental health problem, or it could be a physical issue that you are learning to heal and work with. And maybe like if it's like, for example, if you deal with like chronic illness or something like that, I think your ancestors are really supportive. Like they're around you a lot, and they're always taking care of you and trying to help you in any way they can. But I think that this is something that they struggled with as well. If it is genetic in some way. Excuse me, I'm so stuffy. Maybe that's something that you're dealing with as well. Maybe you have some ancestors that are still alive that are a little stuffy and hard to connect to, and maybe you're learning how to balance being yourself with being around them and not feeling like you're just being viciously judged the entire time. I also think that you're doing a much better job at like keeping in touch with yourself. Like maybe you're journaling more, or you're starting to make plans. Like maybe you didn't make plans for your life for a long time. You just kind of went about life however it would go. And now you're starting to like, now that life feels more like you're in control of it, and you know who you are a little bit better, and you have a general direction of where you might be going. It's like you can finally start putting plans into action. You can finally start making plans And one thing that Spirit is saying is that you're doing amazing, sweetie. Let me just say, you're doing wonderfully. And actually, you could actually, yeah, I mean, this is a lot easier said than done, so take it with a grain of salt, but be mindful of how much you're pressuring yourself to get things done or to keep growing, keep evolving, or know what your next move is, because Spirit's saying you're already on the right path, you're already in alignment, you're already doing what you need to, like you're doing great, just keep going. Another thing with the beaver card here, one thing that I want to say that's very beautiful about you is that you have an incredibly loyal heart. For some of you, you may be a single parent. And if that's the case, I think that one thing that I just need to commend you for is how above and beyond you go for your family. And it's just your children, your animals, your plant babies. I don't mean to offend anyone with legitimate children. I understand that there's like a difference between having human children and animal or plant children, but I think that you're an excellent caregiver, and I also think that you're somebody who's very dependable, that people trust. I also think your house may be looking really, really good, or wherever you live. If you recently redecorated, I think Spirit approves. I think Spirit says it looks really nice, and they like that you're taking action to make your environment more suited to your tastes and more suited to what you want. And if you haven't, maybe this is your sign to do that, to maybe do some redecorating, or maybe go thrifting and do some DIY stuff. I almost feel like the process of creation could be really calming for you. But one thing that I'm also seeing here is be careful the stories you tell yourself. Because with this shadow attribute, it says making up tales that harm others. And I don't think that you're necessarily out here like, you know, manipulating people or lying to people or things like that. Maybe you did that in the past. I think that's something that you recognize now either isn't right or it just doesn't align with you anymore. But I do think that you struggle to be aware of the stories that you tell yourself, and those stories can harm you. They can harm your mentality. They can harm your ability to be yourself. And I think that it's very important, you know, with how we speak to ourselves, that we not be so hard on ourselves. And maybe you are still very hard on yourself at times. And I think that Spirit is just asking you to be careful the stories you tell yourself, because when we assume things, we make an ass out of you and me. So I think that Spirit is saying, you could be a world-class jumper to conclusions, and I think Spirit is asking you to chill with that, to not make assumptions about things that you don't know about. I think actually Kino talked about this. She was talking about like the law of assumption. I can't remember if this is in conversation or in a reading, so sorry. But you know, the law of assumption is if you can't figure out like if you're not going to be able to know the truth, or you're not going to find out, you might as well assume the outcome that brings you the most mental peace. Because at the end of the day, if you're not going to find out, or it doesn't really matter, it doesn't really benefit you, you might as well just assume the thing that's going to bring you the most peace, which you had the peace card in your surface level personality. So I think people are seeing you as a lot more peaceful. Maybe you were more volatile when you were younger, or when you were less aware of what was going on within you, because I definitely think you could be quick to anger, or you could be quick to upset. I think that you feel things very deeply, and you know what, sometimes people can say things that are very innocent, but they could trigger something within you. And so I think that people are just recognizing now that you've really matured a lot emotionally, and you should be incredibly proud of yourself for that. And you are learning to recognize now that your emotions are not you. They are just something that's flowing through you, like the wind. With the Hanged Man, you could have Pisces energy. The Hanged Man is Pisces energy. But I think one of the biggest things that you have accomplished in this time of growth is you're learning how to control the things you can and let go of the things that you cannot control. Because a lot of the things that upset us and stress us out are things that we literally cannot control in the slightest. And I think you're recognizing that maybe you've wasted a lot of your time and energy in the past being upset or angry or frustrated or something like that over things that you could have never controlled in the first place and were never something that you could change. I'm not gonna lie, for some of you, when you were young, like I would say like early teens to late teens, you could have had a God complex of some kind, and could have been later. It could have lasted for a while, and it could have taken some serious life experiences from planet Earth to recognize that you're not God, that the sun, that the world doesn't revolve around you, that you are just a human existing within the world. I definitely think, and I don't think that's for all of you. Not all of you felt this way. It's just a very specific few of you. And I think that if that's the case, you're laughing about it now. Like, yeah, I totally did. One thing that I'm seeing with the balance card here is I definitely think that you're doing a much better job of, one, balancing like practical things with spiritual things, but two, I think you're learning how to balance giving to others as well as giving to yourself. And I feel like with this balance card here, the interesting thing about this card deck actually is like what you would typically associate like just intuitively with the cards like isn't necessarily what the true meanings are. But I'm actually kind of taking this on a very surface level way, not in the true meaning, because this balance card does talk about somebody being like so invested in what they're doing that they may forget the people in their life. But I think the truth of the matter is that you found balance by actually investing in yourself and not spending so much time and energy catering to everybody in your life, and that has maybe made some people upset or walk away from you. And Spirit is saying that is not your problem, and in fact, like, they were only weighing you down if that's the case. Like, choosing you is going to upset some people, and that's their problem. It's not yours. You don't need to feel bad for choosing you. They're not living your life for you, and you're not living their life for them. So if they're upset about it, they can spend some more time with themselves, or they can figure it out. I also think you have an excellent ability to tell stories. So maybe some of you are writers. Maybe some of you enjoy like animation or something like that. But I definitely think one thing that you're learning is that your perspective is not the only perspective. And I think that has helped you to kind of recognize that there's so many different, like, everybody's having their own unique experience, and that, you know, your perspective isn't the only one that matters. And like, and I think that's just something, you know, most people have that when they're young, you know, most children, and listen, adults are just children in big bodies. So, you know, a lot of adults feel that way too. I know plenty of adults that like are over the hill and still act like they're in high school. So, you know, some people, as Bowling for Soup said, high school never ends. And they were kind of right about that. But, you know, that's not you. And you know that your happiness does not lie in stagnation and things like that. And so you're growing and you're evolving and you're doing amazing, sweetie. So let's go ahead and look at your soul now and see what's going on with you at the soul level. If I can collect all these cards in a decent way. Okay, so we have empowerment. The frequency of empowerment supports our ability to show up fully and completely, uniting us with others in the deep trust that we are all connected through the same source. I think that's truly what you've been connecting to. Like, and I think, yeah, this journey for you has been a lot about empowerment and empowering yourself. We also have the orphan. We have child of the cosmos. The intelligence of the universe lies within you. We have attachment. We have liberator, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. And the shadow is imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring constraints. I don't feel like this shadow energy really applies very much on this soul level, but it's interesting because I even found myself wanting to speak out about like things within society that don't sit right with me just within your reading. So that's definitely your energy. We also have trust. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. And actually I want to move because like I love how similar these two cards look. You could have a special connection to like whales or orcas. Like these little these kind of remind me of whale tails. But let's see what else. We also have the Hierophant. We have number 23. Oh my God, wasn't your first card number 23? That's crazy. Maybe some of you are 23 in the club. Hi, perp with some J's on. Tatted up, mini skirt. Oh, okay, that was just Miley Cyrus song. Anyway, you have a zest for life and you are eager to experience anything and everything possible. You love change and excitement and need both to feel truly alive. For you, life is an adventure to be lived to the fullest. I am adventurous. This is definitely your soul and not your natural inclination. And I'll explain why in a second, but we're going to keep going. We also have the Otter. Oh, I love this. I love your soul. I love your soul. Can I say I love your soul? It's so precious. We also have number 8, I am forgiving. And finally, we have childhood, which makes a lot of sense. So for some of you, you could, there's deep abandonment wounds like within your soul. And I think that actually you're a very old soul, especially with the Hierophant here. And I think actually the old souliness is very much rooted on the earth. I think that you have been incarnating on earth specifically for a very, very, very long time, and repeating a lot of patterns. And in fact, I think that your soul kind of slowly but surely has been liberating yourself from human distortions and human beliefs and things like that hurt us. And one thing that I'm seeing here is that your soul has only been able to make so much progress in each lifetime, because if you think about like Earth up until this point in history, a vast majority, like for the vast majority of human history, like people have been under, I mean, we're still under intense control. It's just under the guise of free will, and it's just that the government can watch us easier now. But like, you know, in the past, like for example, I think you could have deep rooted trauma around religion, or you feel very connected to a particular religion, because it seems like you were always born into that that culture, that religion. Catholicism specifically is speaking to me. But what I'm really seeing here, like, because I'm thinking about, like, for example, you know, 1500s Europe, the church was just as powerful as the emperors were, and monarchies, shit like that, if not more powerful, we could argue. And I actually think that your soul has a special dedication to empowering others to find spirit for themselves. You could have been like a pope or a priest in past lives, and honestly that may contribute to part of the God complex that some of you have had, because when you're a powerful leader and then your soul knows that, and then all of a sudden you're just a baby somewhere and existing again, it's like, I used to rule everything, what's going on? Like, it's kind of like you're humbled back into where your life is now. It's kind of an interesting thing, and I don't think that's necessarily accurate for all of you, but I do think that your soul, while maybe very traditional, is working on being open to new forms of tradition. We have 5s everywhere here. We have 23, we have 5 with the Hierophant, we have 5 with attachment. And I think one thing that your soul is learning to let go of in this lifetime is old paradigms and old belief systems that don't really support or assist humanity in any way. I think you're learning to detach from painful past experiences, and I think that your soul is working really hard right now to detach from identities that you've developed within this lifetime and within other lifetimes that have taught you things like that you're not good enough, or that no one will ever be there for you, or that you're always going to be alone. Oh my god, we have another 5 with the orphan. I didn't even see that. So maybe one like big specific thing is maybe you lost your parents in this lifetime or in past lifetimes, or maybe you had parents but they didn't really take care of you, and it was like you might as well have been an orphan. So maybe that's why, like, for some of you, you know, you are, like, if you're a parent, you don't have to be a single parent, but like if you're a parent in general, you may just be so committed to being a good parent because you never want your children to have the same experiences that you had. And your soul is saying that a lot of the things that were holding you back were childhood wounds, which is amazing because you are healing a lot of that already. And with this I am forgiving, I think one thing that you need to know is that you don't have to forgive anyone for what they did to you, but you can forgive yourself for going through those experiences, and you can, you know, just forgive the situation to have peace. Which I think, like, not forgive the situation or forgive the person. I just mean that, like, you deserve to have peace, and anything disturbing your peace, you are allowed to release and just be like, whatever, you know? You don't necessarily always need closure. But I think maybe one thing that you have picked up through your lives is a fear of adventure, a fear of change, a fear of things straying from the norm. And I think that this was actually very important. Like, your soul didn't do anything wrong by going through all these experiences. In fact, your soul was meant to follow a very traditional path and then completely tear it apart and grow beyond that. It's like you had to experience life from a very specific point of view for probably a few lifetimes, and now it's like, because the vibe that I'm getting, this is really interesting, the vibe that I'm getting is that you are very earthy, like with peace and love. While you are a child of the cosmos, like, you are very earthy, and the conditions of earth have been deeply ingrained within your soul as well. And so there are things that resonate with you so deeply that they almost resonate at a soul level. Because they're like your soul's truth at the time. But I think that your soul could get attached to those truths. You know, the Hierophant is Taurus energy, which, by the way, you may want to check out your draconic astrology chart. You could have Taurus placements there. But it's almost like your soul is being empowered, in this lifetime to destroy any limiting beliefs or any limiting perspectives that you had in your past lives that are stopping you from achieving your full potential in this life, if that makes sense. I definitely think, though, there's like some messy past energy with you in like some sort of religious church, where you may have in some lives been the oppressor, and in other lives been the oppressed. Like, you've been on all sides of it. I think that you've experienced like a lot of different types of living. Like, I think you've experienced serfdom. I think you've experienced being part of the proletariat. I think you've experienced being part of the bourgeoisie. I think you've experienced being a monarch. I think you've experienced a lot of different things, and it's all been to help you empower yourself. And so in this lifetime, it's like, I think you're being open to more than just Earth. You're finally being opened to what's beyond Earth. I think a lot of your experiences in the past or a lot of your past lives have been very, while religion was a component of it, it wasn't very spiritual in nature. It was still very grounded and physical in nature. And so I think that your soul is unlearning a lot of shit this lifetime, but it's very important, and you're freeing yourself, and at the same time you're empowering yourself. And so I would not be surprised if in this lifetime you've had partners that are very or you've attracted people in the past that are very domineering, aggressive, controlling, God forbid even abusive, which I hope those people are out of your life. But it's all like, it's that same wound being triggered within you so that you have no choice but to rise up and empower yourself if nobody else is going to do it. And it's like, and what's interesting is that 26 in numerology reduces to 8, which we have that 8 down here. And it's almost like once you finally feel empowered and you don't feel like, when you feel safe in your own being and you know that you could trust yourself, it's going to be a lot easier for you to release the shit that held you down in the past, because you know that you're not a victim anymore. You're not under their rule, or you're not the person that they said you were. Like, you know who you are, and you're so much stronger than what people said or what people did. And I think that your soul really has struggled to feel connected to things and to people. But I think that's changing a bit. I actually want to read the orphan card because I haven't before, I don't think. And I feel like I'm just coming up with very literal translations, and I think there could be something valuable in here. I don't get out books very often, but we're going to do it for you guys. The wounded child, the abandoned, the beggar. The study of the orphan is to study the deep and challenging energy of our time. We are ever more connected, yet face collective isolation. The refugee crisis haunts our planet. Children are separated from parents, and the earth begs for our attention. We are in a time of universal orphanage, of nature, of each other, of our own hearts. Take refuge in the fact that we all share this core wound and dilemma. It is normal to fear this card as it haunts the caverns of the soul. When it appears, take time, real time, to be in the presence of the feelings this card stirs in you. Let it humble you. What are you starving for? What is the deepest gift you could imagine giving to others? What has been rejected is quite possibly what is most needed. Yeah, so actually, I think I was pretty on point, especially when dark, it's distance and hates and avoids controlling, limiting behaviors. So this says, tenderness beyond tenderness is required. Imagine holding yourself in your hands to recognize that each one of us fears rejection and isolation is to take one step towards the orphan. More kindness always. And it says, access this archetype through creative acts like drawing, painting, or writing. Keep it simple. Ask the orphan what it wants to draw, make, or say. And to go deeper, we have Mary Oliver's The Kitten. And when your soul is in alignment with this energy, you will feel deep solace, deep acceptance, and deep love. So if you feel that in your soul, then I think that you've already healed a lot of these wounds. But if you don't, I think that that is the goal that your soul is rooting for in this lifetime. And I think that this makes a lot of sense. And what I love having the otter card here, like, it's just so precious, because the otter is just all about pure, unbridled joy and kindness and happiness, and kind of existing in your own happy bubble, your own fun bubble, and just experiencing joy in the present. And I think that your natural soul is very joyful. And I think it's through these really difficult, painful lifetimes that you've had shit attached to your soul that your soul is ready to destroy and let go of. And I think one thing that you're realizing now is you're finally gaining access to what is beyond this earth, to the intelligence of the cosmos, and you're recognizing that you're not just an earth child, you're a child of the cosmos, and that the earth is a part of the cosmos, and that the earth is not separate from the cosmos, but in fact it is a part of it. And with this trust, I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. I think that this is so important because your soul is saying that you can trust what it is telling you, and you can trust where it is leading you, because it's gotten you this far and it's going to keep going. And I know that you're afraid to listen to your soul, because where's the card? Right here. You said, for feeling as though I may somehow mess everything up, should I choose to trust myself? And so what you really, really need to remember, and I even love how similar these cards look, I choose to believe that every time I allow myself to gently follow my instinct, I strengthen my intuitive muscle and set myself up for future success. You deserve to trust yourself. You are not the same scared little child that you once were. You are such a strong person, both inside and out. And this lifetime is all about blowing through any limiting beliefs, any limiting behaviors, any people that place limits on you, and allowing yourself to be free, your free, authentic self, and embracing the fullness of just being without limits. So pile 3, I think that is where I'm going to leave your reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But if you want to support me in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, you can let me know how it resonates. I really hope it did. You can subscribe if you haven't already and click that little bell notification. You can check out my merch, which is also linked below. You can check out my social media. Just be careful. There's a lot of scammers pretending to be me. And I think that's it. But thank you guys so much for letting me read your energy. That's honestly all I really wanted to do today. So that's why we're not, I just wanted to read, like, that's all I wanted to do. I didn't really want to go, like, I didn't want to really divinate or anything. I just wanted to read energy. So I really hope that I got your energy correct, and I hope that this was enlightening in some way. Thank you guys so much for letting me read your cards. I hope that you all have a wonderful day or night, whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 4. If you guys chose the Aura Moon, my brain's not doing words right now. This is going to be your reading. So we are going to go ahead and start by seeing who the hell are you by looking at your surface level personality first, and then we are going to go deeper into your inner world, what's going on internally, and then we'll look at your soul to finish off. So when it comes to surface level personality, this is what you show others, and this is how others perceive you. So to start, we have the root chakra with abundance. We also have the poet. I also noticed that this is number 7 and this is number 8, so that could be significant. Ooh, okay. We also have femme fatale. Highlights the erotic energy of the feminine, opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. And the shadow attribute is inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money and power. I don't know what happened to this card, but got beat up a little bit. We also have door to personal healing and happiness. That is also the second 7 I see, because 3 and 4 numerology reduced to 7. We also have number 41, self-discipline. And we have number 12, bearing fruit. We also have self-worth. We have elk. We have frustration. We have strength, love to see it. And finally, we have, I forgive myself for feeling as though I must see it before it is safe to believe it. I choose to believe that what I choose to believe is a powerful driver of my experience, and it is safe to explore a perspective that is more aligned with the reality I seek. We also have, I forgive myself for shaming and rejecting the experience of imperfection. I choose to believe that my unique expression invites me to show up in ways that may challenge ideas of what is currently preferable in order to make room for something greater. So there's a lot of fiery energy here, just like straight out the gate. We have Leo with strength. We also have the earth signs with the elk, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. But I just see a lot of fire in this, like Aries, Leo, Sag. But can we just talk about the fact that you're hot? And even if you don't think you are, like, people are definitely attracted to you. A lot of people are. And in fact, I think that even just like the way you move, or the way that like you use your hands, or like the way you speak is like very attractive to some people. And I think that people may just view you as somebody very attractive, and somebody that they maybe a lot of people are intimidated by you. It kind of seems like, oh my god, I'm hearing Justin Bieber's song Lonely right now. Like, if you had it all but nobody to call, then maybe then you'd know me. That's just fucking lonely. Maybe at times, like, listen, this is bad bitch energy, and I say bad bitch in the most gender neutral way possible. Like, you on the outside are thriving, or appear to be thriving. People are very impressed by what you're doing. I feel like for a lot of you, you may be doing something creative. With the poet here, it's like you're either very good with your words, you could be very like good with lyrics. I'm hearing music. You could do something with music, you could do something with like content creation, you could do something with art, you could be literally be a poet. But I definitely think creative expression is incredibly important to you. And I think that you really like to seek out truth in the world, but not like directly write like, okay, this is what I discovered today and this is what it is. It's like you like to seek out truth, but then on top of it, you like to expose that truth in a very poetic and beautiful way. My right ear is ringing right now. You want to know something really sad? If you want to feel better about yourself, I still do this to remember my left and my right. That's one thing I don't think I'll ever learn my entire life. I'm gonna be like, I just can't. Anyway, I definitely think that you're a bit hard on yourself. Like, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to succeed when you're already successful. Between abundance and bearing fruit and self-discipline, it's like, I think that not only are you a hard worker, but like you take care of yourself, you're building up your wealth, you're building up your abundance, and I think people are just seeing you as somebody that's almost kind of unstoppable. I'm not gonna lie, with the Elle card here, I think people see you as kind of a daddy, which like that doesn't mean that you have to like literally identify by that term. I know it makes some people cringe, but I'm saying it in like a funny, ironic way. Like you're just kind of, you get shit done, you're really in control. And I think what's really interesting is that the elk is a really masculine energy and we have femme fatale here. So you could have a really healthy balance of feminine and masculine energy. You could be very feminine on the outside and very masculine internally, or vice versa. Certainly don't have to be. But with this strength card here, I think that people, one, are very impressed by your patience and by your kindness. I think that people test your patience a lot and annoy the shit out of you a lot. And I think that it takes a lot. It takes everything in you sometimes just to not be like, shut the fuck up. But you don't. You are kind. You take things in stride. And I think that you are learning how to also extend that patience and compassion to yourself. I think it's a lot easier to extend it to others, but when it comes to you, I think you maybe struggle with that a little bit. I think people can tell though that you are glowing, like you've grown up a lot. I think some people may be like envious of your success, like if you are successful on your own, or you are successful as an artist or something like that. I think that there are people that are definitely envious of that, and to that I say like that's their problem, and like keep doing you. With this door to personal healing and happiness, though, I think that you have truly made a commitment to seeing yourself in a better light, especially with that self-worth, and actually working to love yourself and to see yourself the way that others see you. Because I think that you, like, people will give you compliments and like, you know, they're true deep down, but like your ego has a hard time accepting them, or you're just very hard on yourself and so you have a hard time accepting them. But I think that at times, not at times, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think that you are recognizing now, like, there's no reason to deny your greatness. Like, why, like, you don't see a peacock walking around being all insecure and shit, and like, that's essentially you. Like, you're very impressive, you're doing amazing things, and it's like, why feel insecure about yourself? I mean, I get it, we all have insecurities, but like, do you see that booty? Do you see those antlers? Do you see all this skill? Do you see that abundance? Do you see that healing and happiness? Do you see that self-worth? Do you see that strength? Do you see how hard you work to get to this point? Because if you don't, you need to start looking at it, because I feel like I'm saying this in all the piles, but you're doing amazing, sweetie. I don't think I said it in all the piles, but I probably said it in like at least one other. I can't remember. When I channel, I'm only half here. Remember that. I'm like, I'm sober, but I'm blacking out, if that makes sense, when I channel. With the strength card here, I think people see you as somebody that they can lean on. Like, I hear the song like Lean on Me right now. And I think you're an excellent friend to the people that you care about. I think that you're an excellent support system. And I think that you are so generous and compassionate towards the people around you. I think the people around you see you as stronger than them. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I do have some things prepared for your reading. We're going to go deeper into it because there's definitely a whole lot more to you. This is just your surface level energy, which is already super impressive, but there's so much more to you. And I think one thing that's really unfair is that people minimize how much it took for you to get to this point. Like, you didn't wake up in one day and just be this way. Like, it took discipline, it took work, it took a lot of brutal self-honesty, it took a lot of facing your own demons and shadows, and facing what about parts of yourself that you didn't want to look at, and embracing them, overcoming them, accepting that they're a part of you, or accepting that this is something you'll have to overcome. Like, I don't think a lot of people see how much work it took for you to get to this point. And so I do want to commend you on that, because I don't think you get enough credit for that. But one thing with this Elle card as well is literally that, like, you're a really good friend, you're a really good family member, brother, sister, whatever you are. You're a really good child, you're a really good parent. Like, you're a really great person for people, like, to have in their life. Like, I think that for the most part there isn't any, but I would say that you've probably cut out a lot of the people that didn't appreciate you, because it seems like the people that are currently in your life absolutely love you so much and just adore you. I also think there's a lot of people that don't know if they want to be you or be under you. You're very attractive, and I think that it's not just your physicality. I think it's your way with words, your way of seeing life in beautiful ways. And what's actually really interesting about this poet is, like, you know, there's this dark energy and then all these colors, and it's like, I think that part of what makes you so attractive is the fact that you're not afraid to face dark aspects of the world. You're not afraid to experience darkness, or you don't avoid your own darkness anymore. You may have in the past, but I think you're starting to embrace the darker parts of you. And with this bearing fruit card, I think that this success is really just the beginning for you. And I think you may have fears that, like, it's all going to be ripped away from you really quickly. And I think one thing that you need to know is that it's not. Like, this is just the beginning. For some of you is what I'm hearing. And for others, I think that, like, one, you've already done enough to make yourself secure, but two, like, Spirit's never going to stop bringing you ideas. Spirit's never going to stop bringing you new opportunities. Like, Spirit's not going to rip away everything from you because you make one mistake, or because you don't like what you said to a person. Maybe in a moment of weakness, you tell someone off, and then you're like, oh shit, now, like, everything, like, Spirit's going to take everything away from me. It's like, no, you're human. You have to remember that. You're still human. But it takes, like, true grit and, like, strength of character, which it takes that to evolve like this, and to be successful like this, and to be prioritizing your own self-worth and your own beauty. Like, you're very, very special. And I think that now you're starting to master the physical realm, and how to, and you're mastering your physical body and, like, the physical realm. And I don't mean physical body and, like, working out or something like that, but I just mean that, like, you're improving your skills, like muscle memory sort of things. Like, for example, if you're improving your dance skills, or you're learning to play a new instrument or something like that, it's like you're building more muscle memory, and you're building a lot of skills. And I think Spirit is really impressed by your ability to be disciplined, by your ability to stay focused on what's important. I also think, though, that maybe you can be a little bit stubborn and people struggle with that sometimes. Like, if there's something that you're not open to, it's literally like fitting a square peg in a round hole, and that might be kind of frustrating for some people. And so maybe that's something that you might be working on, or Spirit might be subtly encouraging you to maybe be a little bit more open-minded and look at different perspectives. But I mean, overall, like, there's like not a whole lot to say, because it's just very literally like, you're great, at least on the surface. I think, well, I'm sure you're great internally as well. It takes a lot of wonderful character and shit like that to make you great on the surface as well. But I think one thing that you need to know is that I think people massively underestimate how, I think I already said this, but how much work it took for you to get here. And I think that you deserve to give yourself like 2 extra pats on the back for how effortless you have made it look to be yourself, because it certainly is not effortless. It takes a lot of time and energy and discipline and work. And I think people take that for granted. I think people don't realize how much work you actually put into what it is that you do. And I don't think people recognize like all the sacrifices and all of the challenges that you've had to overcome and endure to get there. And so just know that like, you definitely don't get enough credit, but you don't need credit from others, because you give it to yourself, and that's really all that matters. And you know what? I think it's genuinely a skill to make difficult things look easy. So that's impressive in of itself. So let's go ahead and look at your inner world, because I'm much more fascinated by that. I want to look at that a lot deeper, because I think a lot of people are either, I don't want to say jaded, but so impressed or shocked, taken aback by you on the surface, that I don't think a lot of people even think to look deeper. Like, a lot of people just assume that what you portray is what you are on the inside, and I don't think that's ever really the case for anybody, but fully at least. But let's go ahead and look at your inner world now. So to start, we have Virgo. I analyze. Oh yeah, you've got, your brain doesn't shut up, does it? You could have a Mercury moon. So you could have a Virgo moon or a Gemini moon. I've been taking like this part to be like, it could be like your moon placement or something like that. It certainly doesn't have to be, but that's what I was thinking. We also have the underworld, and yeah, we're going to talk about this card. We also have the ever unfolding rose, cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. We have indecision. Yeah, okay. Your energy is making a lot more sense now, I'm not gonna lie. We also have knight, loyalty, romance, chivalry, a love of honor. And the shadow attribute is allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle, romantic delusions. Romantic delusions. Shout out to my Pisces Venuses out there. Love y'all. We also have release. We have the wheel of fortune. Trickery. We have frog again, so we have 2 frogs. I just heard leapfrog as well. And we have delightful deer, clarity, adaptability, divination, mystical companion of the fairy folk, bless me with your sharp sense of sight. So fairy, you could have a significant connection to fairies in some way. But we also have insecurity. Please understand your worth, your value, your purpose here on earth. There is no need to feel small or compare yourself to others. Yeah, I think you preach this self-love more than you actually practice it, if I'm going to be honest. And we also have resentful. Think loving thoughts for the person or yourself that you resent. It's restricting your emotional happiness. Yeah. So this makes a lot more sense for your energy, because while you are impressive, there is definitely aspects of you that you keep very well hidden. And in fact, maybe at times you ran from these parts of yourself, or you kept them more suppressed. But from what I can see here, like, first of all, internally, like, you're pretty practical, just like, but I don't think you've always been that way. I think you've grown into a more practical person. But what's really interesting is you could have a really good relationship with somebody. With this Knight card, loyalty, romance, chivalry, a love of honor, you could currently be in a relationship with somebody that is like, you're in a very good, loving, positive relationship. And that may be something that has helped you see through like romantic delusions in your past. Like, oh, maybe that wasn't accurate, or maybe I wasn't viewing that differently. Or maybe that's something that you're looking for at this time. Like, maybe that's something that you are wanting, and so you're working on your shadow work. Now let's talk about the underworld, because what's really interesting about it is I was reading up on this card before we started. So I don't look at all of the oracles, but I looked at the ones that I was like, maybe there could be valuable information that I need before we start. And I definitely wanted to with this underworld card. And this underworld card essentially talks about, why don't I just show you? Because like, that's going to be better than me just rambling about it. Because I think it's very like, yes, like I think you've faced a lot of darkness within yourself already. I think maybe sometimes you're afraid of facing it again. Like you might forget that darkness is something that is reoccurring. It's not something that we leave forever, you know. With light, you can't have light without dark. But with the underworld, it says the nightmare, the ordeal, the bottom. There is no time to mince words. The archetypal territory of the underworld is fraught with nightmares, suffering, and pain. It is the darkest shadow realm, which we try vigilantly to avoid or deny at any cost. Try as we might, the darkness pulls us into its depths through disturbing dream images, unexpected accidents, illness, war, conflict, and ultimately death. Not visiting the underworld or denying its existence altogether is what gives it dangerous power. Traversing it forces us to bow humbly to the greater forces that be, while summoning the inner strength we previously underestimated. Take solace at the underworld subsumes everyone from time to time, making us deeper friends, more intimate partners, soldiers of light amid our shadowy times. Facing darkness and choosing light is the most profound calling of all. And so I think what we have to talk about, bravery, depth, and facing of deepest fears. I think that's something that you have been doing by working through your own inner demons and your own inner shadows. And what I also noticed is over here, it says, search for images of a map of Dante's Inferno. What does the story of epic descent stir into you? Well, Dante's Inferno is an epic poem, and you got the poet. And lucky for you, I'm a massive fucking nerd. So guess what I already have? The Divine Comedy. Oop! We lost a crystal. Houston, we lost a crystal. Let's go grab her really quickly while I continue to talk. So I have that already, and I bookmarked a page where the map is. So I will show that to you really quickly. But yeah, if you've never read The Divine Comedy, I would highly recommend it. It's excellent, and it is essentially the story of Dante, and he goes through hell, purgatory, and then eventually heaven. Obviously, Inferno is the most popular because it's the darkest one, and it's, to be honest, the most interesting. But I have a map here, and so I thought if you guys wanted to hold on to that, I would just hold it up for you guys. So there's 9 circles of hell here, and I do want to mention that this was literally written in like 1320, so it's very Christian and very like it's very yeah, it's very Christian. So like the first circle of hell you can see here is like virtuous pagans and unbaptized children. Like what? But it's still really fascinating, and it talks about going into the underworld. And so I would highly recommend, if you like poems, if you like epic poems, good one to have. So I pulled that out for you in case it was helpful or useful, or you want to do more research into that. But let's go back to the actual reading, because I do think that you have already faced a lot of this darkness, because you are so successful now. And I think with the Wheel of Fortune card being here, it's like, you know, you're doing a lot better than you once were. And I think you're also at a place in life now where you recognize that things are happening for you, not to you. And maybe in the past you were like, why does the universe hate me? Like, why is the universe like taking all this away from me and stuff like that? And now you're at a point in life where you realize like, oh, this isn't because the universe is punishing me. It's because I'm learning experiences that I need to actualize my true potential. And I think maybe at one point in time you didn't trust your heart, or maybe you still don't really trust your heart fully, because from what I can see with Release and the frog here, I think you're working really hard to heal your emotions and your emotional body, and I think it's taking a lot of time and energy to heal that. I don't think that that's something that you have fully healed or feel fully healed with. And maybe at times you slip back into darker energies. And I think one thing you need to know is to not feel shame for that. In fact, it's good to embrace and face like the darkness within us, because that's what helps us, you know, see the light. If we pretend like the darkness isn't there, like the book said, that's way more dangerous. And so I think the fact that you have been releasing a lot of that darkness has been really helpful for you. But I think one thing that you struggle with between Virgo, I analyze, and indecision, I definitely think that you struggle to trust yourself to make decisions, which is, can I be honest, kind of silly, because you're doing really great so far. Like, you seem to be making really wonderful decisions so far. But I think it's just because, you know, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to make the right decisions, to do the right thing. You don't want to do the wrong thing. And I think one thing you need to know is that you can't do the wrong thing, and that your heart is not tricking you when it's leading you in certain directions. So trust the directions that your heart are trying to lead you in, and release the need to, or easier said than done, but try to release the need to know if that's right for you or not, and just follow it and see what happens. With this release card though, I think you are healing and releasing a lot that had been within your emotional body, especially towards like resentments towards other people. I also think that you're learning to release insecurities as well, and you're starting to recognize that, well, first of all, you're really impressive, and second, you know, insecurities, everybody's insecure. Like, everybody has insecurities. Everybody like works on their confidence. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess not every single person in the entire world is insecure, but I would say a vast majority of them are. And some people have no insecurities, and you're like, man, maybe you should be a little more insecure. But that's neither here nor there. I do think though that because things are going pretty well for you right now. So if things are going well for you right now, I don't know if this is your pile, but maybe this is where you're headed, at least I hope. I think that you're thinking about, like, I see you as this cat up here, and you're thinking about the bottom of the wheel, because you've been on the bottom of the wheel before, and you're like, how long is it until I get there? Or how long is it until I'm back there? Is this good stuff just temporary and I'm gonna get it all taken away? And Spirit's saying, well, the highs are definitely temporary. In life, there are just highs and lows. That's how the wheel turns. But that doesn't mean that when you're in the highs, you should be anticipating and fearing the lows. In fact, when you're in these high moments, these good parts of life, embrace them, be present, be grateful that you're here and that you're doing these things and that you've come so far. I think you're trying to be more present and be grateful for these wonderful moments, but I do think that you really plague yourself with thoughts of like, oh, when's it all gonna go to shit again? When's it all gonna go to shit again? Or when am I gonna lose it all? Or how can I mess this up? Like, with this Virgo energy, Virgo, listen, as a Virgo moon, she's incessant. So if you have any Virgo placements, or honestly any Gemini placements, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you so hard. It's hard, but I do think that maybe one thing that could help you is kind of putting your mental energy in check a little bit. I do think one thing that's been helping you a lot though is this new commitment to regulating yourself. So like making sure you're eating enough, drinking enough, sleeping enough, and you know, getting enough exercise, and actually like listening to your body instead of just existing in fear. I think that you're starting to allow your body to speak to you more and tell you what it needs rather than constantly worrying about what it needs. Some of you may be hypochondriacs as well, and maybe that's something that you're working on healing. But with the delightful deer here, I think that you are starting to realize that you can trust yourself, and I think that you're getting better if you divinate in any way. I think you're improving with that, and I think that you are somebody who is very adaptable. Like, it doesn't matter, which it says in that card, but it doesn't really matter what environment you're in. It's like you're getting really good at like seamlessly adapting to things instead of struggling to struggling to cope with change. I think your biggest problem is that you have a hard time being decisive. So I think maybe one big lesson that you are learning right now is to make decisions with conviction or don't make them at all. So it's like maybe you're learning how to find comfort in the indecision and trust that when the time is right to make a decision, that you will have the utmost confidence in it, or you will know in your heart it's the right one for you. I also think you're releasing a lot of wounds around maybe people that manipulated you in a romantic way. I feel like, or in a platonic way, but I think that you're healing wounds around dishonest people and like dishonest people in your life. Like you could have been pretty badly betrayed by certain people. And I think you're learning now that that was never indicative of your worth or your value, that in fact those people were just shitty, and that you actually have a really wonderful heart. And if you're already in a relationship, I'm sure you know that, I'm sure your partner really values you. I'm sure you really value that relationship. If you're not in a relationship, then I think you know that at the end of the day, like, you're somebody loyal, you're somebody kind, you're somebody who is going to act in ways that are honorable, and you're not going to be somebody that, you know, manipulates others the way people manipulated you. And I think one thing that you need to know is that you are so valuable, and other people see your worth, but you have a hard time seeing it yourself. And so I think one thing you need to know is that I think a lot of your insecurity comes from the fact that, like, you're thinking, well, people didn't see where I started. People didn't see what I used to be like. People didn't see how I used to be. And it's like, but that's not who you are now. People don't need to see that, because why would they? Unless you're talking about it and want them to appreciate how far you've come. But even then, you should be celebrating how far you've come. That's like it's a pretty iconic thing to be awful and then become awesome. I mean, I'm not saying you were awful, but like, you might have seen yourself that way. But to come that far and reach all this success and be who you are now, like, that's amazing. Like, that's way more impressive than somebody who's always been like that. Like, you're not living a lie by being who you are now. Like, you're not fooling people because you used to be a dick when you were little. Like, kids are dickheads. Like, that's like a truth of life. Like, kids are just, a lot of kids are horrible. Like, kids are awesome, but they're horrible, okay? Like, both, it's both. They can be dickheads, okay? And I think one thing that you need to know is, like, you have grown and changed. Like, time has passed, and you have to stop comparing yourself to that version of yourself that you're not proud of, because, like, it's that version of yourself that you're not proud of that got you to this version of yourself now that you do deserve to be proud of. And it's time to release those past experiences that are plaguing you and making you feel like you can't fully embrace this new reality, because you can and you should. So let's go ahead and look at your soul now and see what's going on there. So, for your last set of cards to start, we have the root chakra. Okay, so you guys have had a lot of red in your pile, I've noticed. The frequency of the root chakra, the red flower of life, stimulates passion and supports our sense of security on this physical plane, both in our bodies as well as in the physical world. We also have Kairos. We have Addict, helps you recognize and confront addictive behaviors. And the shadow attribute is compromises integrity and honesty, allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. We also have the Sun. Wow, okay, so we have double ones. And oh my god, you know what I love too? You know, because you had the underworld, and it was talking about like the light and stuff. And it's like, that's your soul, that's your light. I think the underworld stuff is like past wounds and past, like, either from this lifetime or lifetimes before that. They're much more human than you realize. Your soul is so fucking beautiful. Oh my god. Yeah, we also have the Cosmic Heart. Devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. Oh my god. What's that song, Living on a Prayer? We also have Friendship. I understand that a friend is in my life for a reason. We have Justice. We have 18. You are both open-minded and open-hearted, and your ambition is to leave this world better than you found it. Ensure that your goals are aligned with the collective need and the highest good of all. I am kind-hearted. Yeah, this is definitely your soul talking. This is pile 4's soul. Look at that. Your soul knows how to be confident. Isn't that funny? Oh my God. And I think there was another 45. Wasn't the other 45 the Beyond the Ordinary? You'll have to go back and look. But I think it was. So you need to be confident in your otherworldliness. Wait, was that Beyond the Ordinary in a different pile? I don't know. But you need to be confident in yourself. Point blank, period. We also have Horse. And finally, we have Love. Okay. Yeah, your soul is fucking awesome, pile 4. I love your soul. Oh my God. Because let's talk about this. So this Kairos card, it talks about like liminal space and like time when things feel timeless. You might be like existing in the future right now as well. Like you might be going through multiple different lives right now or like preparing for them. But I definitely think that your soul is here on earth for a very important reason. And I think that it's not shocking to me. Like you've had the root chakra come out multiple times in this reading. So for you to start and end with it is like this abundance that you've been receiving, this divine support that you've been receiving. It's like it's in the like your soul contract. Like Spirit's like, we promised you this shit. We're not going to take it away. Like we're not going to be like that. It like you are literally meant to have this abundance. You are meant to have this earthly success, and your soul is its mission in this life is to help the physical plane, help the physical world. And your soul's goal is to leave this planet better than you left it. And that's so beautiful. And what I love is that we have roses coming out again. And there's no other reason for this but your love of I don't even want to say humanity, your love of spirit and your love of life and your desire to see life exist in a more loving and beautiful way, for life to resemble God in the sense that God is love and like you are one with God because God is like all, you are love, and like you are a beautiful soul and you are here to spread more love in a very divine way, and the universe is going to support you in that. And I think that your soul also hops. Like you could hop to different dimensions and like different timelines and like different stuff like that, depending on what is needed. I think it's really interesting. And your soul also, with this Justice card, you might want to check out your draconic astrology chart. You could have some Libra in there. We could have some Libra regularly, but I do think that your soul is very fair. And so your soul is like willing to experience the lifetimes and experience like the hardships or the blessings that come with whatever you put into it. So I think at the soul level, you're just a very fair person, which I think is awesome. And you are light. Like you're light. Like between the sun and this I am confident, like your soul is nothing but light and love, like at its core. And I think that is what truly shines through when at the surface, when you are expressing yourself creatively, you know what I mean? Like what's really fascinating is like all this darkness and all of this inner world, like all of that shit is pretty much relegated to your inner world. And what people see is your soul more often than not, but it's like, because they can't see that middle layer, that doubt, that insecurity, that darkness, that pain, that the parts of you that you're not fully comfortable with yet or have fully like come to terms with yet, you feel like people don't see you accurately. But I think what you're not seeing is that they don't need to see any of that shit, because all of that shit is a personal battle that's yours to deal with, and it could help you to talk about it with other people. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but what I'm saying is that people see right through all of the shit that you're worried about to directly to your soul. Like, they see these beautiful light expressions, and let me say that your creations bring more love and light into the world. So whatever you're doing, don't stop, keep doing it. Like, for the love of God, please, like, keep going and keep growing. Like, you're on your soul's path. You're meant to do this. And bro, listen. Oh, I thought about something funny, but it's kind of an inside joke with someone. So I'm just gonna ask them later if they pick this pile. But with this horse card here, you are unstoppable. And if you notice, like, this horse card is the most evolved physical card in the deck, and that is like who you are meant to be in this lifetime. You are meant to be an unstoppable and expansive force of pure spiritual and physical energy, manifesting what you want in the physical realm. You are absolutely unfucking stoppable. And like, they're literally, time is not something you need to be worried about. You don't need to be worried about your age. You don't need to be worried about how or when. You will do it. Like, you will succeed, you will achieve it. And like, if anything, I think the only thing your soul wants more is to add more inspired action to your life. Like, you're very good at being grounded and practical at times, and you know, doing your responsibilities, like watering plants and, you know, doing the dishes and shit like that. But I think that Spirit is really asking you to maybe lean back a little bit from that practicality and allow yourself to do things just because they fulfill your soul, not because they need to be done. You know, the dishes can wait a little while if you want to go take a walk, or you had just this brilliant idea for a painting or for a song or something like that. You know, honoring those soul desires is actually way more in alignment with yourself than doing the fucking dishes. Like, yeah, you should do the dishes, but they'll be there when you're done. Like, it's not, like, the world is not going to end if you have some crusty dishes. Like, get some, like, come on. You know, you can be a little less disciplined, I think, is part of it. Is like, you can chill out a little bit. And I think one thing that you need to know is that you're doing an excellent job at confronting behaviors that stop you from being your fully authentic self. And maybe like addictive behaviors are something that you're healing in this lifetime, or it's been a recurring issue in your past and current lives. And I think it's something that you're stopping now because you don't want it to affect your current lives. But I also think one really important thing about this lifetime is, I think the most important people here that you're meant to meet are friends. Because with this friendship card here, I understand that a friend is in my life for a reason. We did have that Knight card with, like, you know, romance and stuff like that, and it's like, I do think that you have like a very positive romantic connection with someone, like either right now or you will in the future. But I think that your most important connections are going to stem from platonic friendships, actually. So maybe for some of you, you're like asexual and that's just your vibe. So, and then maybe that's why, it's because you're just meant to connect with people on a friendly level in this lifetime. And also my light just lit the fuck up. So that could be true. But also with this friendship card here, I think that you're making friends in this lifetime that are going to continue to be friends in other lifetimes. And they're going to be able to find you, and they're going to be able to recognize you. And I think a lot of the special people in your life will be the people that you meet along your journey of actualizing your true potential. And I think that even the friends that don't stick around forever, or that are only in your life for a season, I think that they still show you things about yourself that you didn't see before, and they still help you. But your soul knows that you're the shit. So honestly, all you need to do is get your inner world on board, because your surface level personality also knows you're the shit, and everybody around you also thinks you're the shit. I think it's just your internal self that doesn't. But your soul is just love, and you have such a big, beautiful heart, and you have such a special divine purpose to be here. And I just want you to know that, like, you gotta stop beating yourself up, because you're great, and like, Spirit is so proud of you. Spirit is so, like, you're like the golden child to spirit. Like spirit is literally like a proud parent watching you, being like, look at my little pile 4 go. Like, they're achieving so much and they're doing so much, and they're overcoming like all of their wounds, and you know, even despite all the inner turmoil they feel, they're still doing it and they're still achieving it. Like, I feel like your guides want to bless you even more. Like, the universe wants to bless you even more, but they can only bless you more if you're open to receiving those blessings. But you have to know that, like, at the end of the day, your truest self is kind and gentle and compassionate. And while those traits aren't always shining through, they're shining through when it matters. And I think that you massively underestimate how often these traits actually do shine through. I think you're very hard on yourself, and I think that you don't see yourself in the most accurate light. But I think through following your creative pursuits and your creative passions, the things that make time feel non-existent. If you've ever seen the movie Soul, they do an excellent job of kind of explaining that. It's like when you're in the zone and like you kind of lose all time, and you're in this like liminal space between like earth and the spirit realm, God, and you're just channeling pure spirit. I mean, people do that all the time. Like right now, I'm channeling spirit. Like the Madison, like the physical body expressing all of this, she's only like half here right now. Like, her chaos will come later. We'll worry about her later. But like but she loves doing this. So when she's in the zone, I know I'm talking about myself in third person, but like I said, I'm only half here, so like that's spirit talking. You know, it's that liminal space. Like, that's why I can do these insanely long readings, because I don't realize that I'm reading for that long. I just get lost in the energy, and I truly fucking love doing this. I'm sorry for talking about myself in third person, but I'm not the only thing here. Like, please be aware of it. It's not just me like pulling shit out of my ass. Like, I'm barely here. Actually, it was really funny. I'll tell a quick story. My very close childhood friend that I've known since I was a fetus, basically, she moved away when we were younger, and so we just always like reconnect when we can. And she came to visit me recently, and I was answering questions for her that she had about spiritual things. So I was like asking my guides, and I was channeling as I did it. And what was so funny is I realized, like, when I'm channeling, like, I can be so fluid and just talk, but then I would be thinking about what I needed to say, or I was just talking to her regularly, and she'd be like, oh wait, are you getting something? And I'd be like, no, I'm just trying to think. And I totally realized, like, yeah, like when I'm channeling, spirit allows me to be a lot more fluid because I'm not really thinking. But when I'm thinking and it's just me and it's just Madison, like I'm just talking, like I gotta think about what I'm saying. I'm like, I get lost in my head, I forget what I'm saying. And that's just kind of like the beauty of like channeling. It's like spirit just comes through and allows it to happen. But you can channel spirit through many things. You can channel spirit through song, you can channel spirit through art, you can channel spirit through writing, so many different things. The things that make you feel passionate, like that's where how spirit channels through you. Like I was listening to spirit the other day, like Beyonce, like her voice is like her gift, you know what I mean? And like spirit was saying, like she's free to do with whatever, like she has free will, so she can do whatever she wants with her life, but we gave her that gift. And obviously we hope that she'll use it. Thank God she did. But like the blessings, the rewards, the result, like the rewards she reaps, like she's deserving of that. We gave her that gift for a reason. And one thing that I think is really interesting, I was like asking spirit about like, you know, powerful people in society, and they're saying, you know, we give souls power to, or the gift or the ability to achieve power, which I think anybody can, but, you know, I think some people feel more inherently drawn to it than others, and they're saying to see how they'll act, how they'll truly act when they get there, and what are they going to learn, and what do they not. Life is just a one great big experiment, and, you know, spirit doesn't give gifts and just take them away. Like, they give you gifts to utilize them and to have the best life possible, you know? Sometimes we don't think we have any gifts, and it takes some time to discover them. For example, I didn't know that I could channel until I was 21, 22. So I spent the first 20 years of my life having no clue that any of this was a thing. Yeah, Spirit, do you have anything else you want to say? I think one thing Spirit just wants you to know is that, like, your soul is fair to you. So when you can truly tap into, like, your higher self and, like, your soul, you'll always know, like, what the right decision, what the right choice to make is. Like, you're an excellent judge of character, or an excellent judge of what's right or wrong, and I think you need to know that. But also, your soul is literally unstoppable, and you're meant to reap abundance on this planet, so that you can help this planet, so that you can leave this planet in a better position than it was when you came. And I think that's an important part of your journey. And I think one thing that you need to know is that a lot of your indecision comes from your internal mindset, and maybe things that you've learned over time and things that you're maybe trying to unlearn. But, like, your soul is an excellent judge of character, and I also think you need to know that the universe will always be very fair to you, and the blessings that you've gotten so far are literally what is fair to you. If not, I feel like your guides wish that they could give you even more, but it's like they have to wait until you do certain actions or do certain things. So it's like they're giving you, what you reap is what you sow, and you've already sown a lot, and so you're reaping the benefits of that. Don't feel shame, don't feel bad for that. It took work for you to get where you are, and you should be so proud of yourself. You are light, you are beautiful, and your soul knows that you're the shit, so you better start seeing yourself that way too. Whew. So pile 4, I think I am going to leave your reading here. I really hope that this resonated, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for letting me read your cards, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But if you would like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe to my channel and click that little bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my merch, which is linked below, as well as my other social medias. Just be aware that I do have a lot of scammers impersonating me right now, so if it is not linked below this video, it is not mine. But I think that's all I have for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I hope you have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope that you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye!